The extreme accuracy tasked ordnance self-steering bullet is poised to redefine the role of a sharpshooter. Conceived in the 2000s, the concept not only offers troops in the front line enhanced capabilities, but also guarantees safety when engaging a far-off target. The X-Acto bullet, developed by DARPA, has already been tested against natural phenomenons that were otherwise insurmountable for a regular sniper, and it can outmaneuver wind and dust, conferring almost superhuman abilities to a human element. As the industry awaits the deployment of this remarkable piece of military technology, X-Acto promises to harness the power of precision-guided missiles, all within a tiny bullet. Going miniature. The job of a military sniper is exceptionally challenging as it is, but considering the added difficulty of acquiring moving targets in less than favorable conditions, like the howling winds and sandy landscapes of Afghanistan, current technology has proven insufficient. Any missed shot represents a significant risk of exposure, as it can give away the troops' position and precise location, thus compromising their safety. It is critical that snipers be equipped with the latest technology to enable them to engage enemies faster and with relatively unerring accuracy. That said, regular bullets have not changed much since their conception, and they currently are as straightforward as ever. But that may change pretty soon. With the idea of creating a supergun that fires bullets capable of curving in midair, the Defense Advanced Research Projects Agency, or DARPA, initiated a program that can allegedly do more than simply turn the projectile's trajectory. The Extreme Accuracy Tasked Ordnance, or X-Acto project, started in late 2008, led by DARPA and its partners Lockheed Martin and Teledyne Scientific and Imaging. Their main objective was to create a high-precision, long-range rifle that could fire smart bullets, basically enhanced projectiles with the ability to execute complex tasks other than following a given trajectory. In fact, this type of ammunition can turn, change speed, or even send data when fired from a precision-guided firearm capable of programming its behavior. Although the concept is certainly not new, the breakthrough lies in the scale of the shell, as it aims to be a miniaturized type of precision-guided munition. High-tech. The primary goal of the highly classified X-Acto program is to revolutionize rifle accuracy and range. Seeking to improve effectiveness and maximize safety, the X-Acto bullet will allow a more considerable shooter range and a reduction in target engagement timelines, all inside a .50 caliber bullet. X-Acto is also the first ever guided small caliber bullet capable of adjusting its course in the air to hit a given target. Nevertheless, there's still no clear explanation of how exactly the bullet works over a decade after its conception. The official description revealed by DARPA uses purposely vague terms, reading, quote, "The system combines a maneuverable bullet and a real-time guidance system to track and deliver the projectile to the target, allowing the bullet to change path during flight to compensate for any unexpected factors that may drive it off course. Technology development in Phase 2 included the design, integration, and demonstration of aero actuation controls, power sources, optical guidance systems, and sensors." Still, as DARPA's solicitation maintained, quote, "Specific system performance objectives, e.g. range, accuracy, and target speed, are classified." Remarkably, the optical sighting technology developed for the project significantly increased its day and night range over current state-of-the-art sniper systems. Moreover, it also stood out as a markedly different approach from the one from Sandia National Laboratories. Researchers from Sandia developed a similar small-caliber guided bullet prototype in 2012. The projectile was capable of steering toward a laser-marked target 1.2 miles away by using an optical sensor on its nose that gathered flight path information. Then, onboard electronics directed tiny fins on its side to redirect the bullet. However, no such fins can be seen on the X-Acto round. like a pro. In 2014, DARPA released information about the most successful testing of the X-Acto bullets. The published footage showed the demonstration of 2 rounds of live fire testing. The rifle was intentionally aimed to the right at the mark. Packed with tiny sensors, the bullet rapidly changed course in midair, veering its trajectory to strike the target. Even though DARPA did not disclose the actual distance, the agency stated that the technology would considerably extend the range of current sniper systems. It is said that the weapon successfully met DARPA's original solicitation that the bullet could, quote, counter environmental effects such as crosswinds and air density, and prosecute both stationary and moving targets while enhancing shooter covertness. While it was speculated that the tiny projectile used fins that shoot out of its body to redirect its path, the developers have not revealed delicate information about the inner workings. DARPA only affirmed that it includes, quote, new approaches and advanced capabilities to improve the range and accuracy of sniper systems beyond the current state-of-the-art. Still, the innovative technology does compensate for environmental forces, as well as the movement of the target. In fact, as the test demonstrated, the weapon might allow even a mediocre shooter to perform like a professional sniper, not to mention the enhanced benefits that such an outstanding piece of equipment could provide to a capable marksman. In footage from the test, an experienced shooter and a novice using the system for the first time were both able to hit a moving target. However, the veteran managed to do it on repeated occasions. Range. The Pentagon currently needs a vastly improved rifle, and DARPA recently reported that the use of snipers has ballooned in recent years. As sharpshooter training is both extensive and expensive, an upgraded gun might help reduce the procedure. More often than not, snipers are unable to take a shot due to weather-related factors, coupled with a lack of confidence in their own ability to either hit the target or flee if detected. The new long-range rifle could ease their shortcomings. Current sniper equipment can regularly hit trucks at a distance of 2,000 meters, but that cannot be said of smaller and moving targets. Captain Keith Bell, former commander of the Army Sniper School at Fort Benning, Georgia, offered some insight into the mysterious bullet. Quote, "The X-Acto would be revolutionary. It will more than double our range, and probably more than double our accuracy. There's no limit as far as I can see, so long as the bullet's stable. I think 2,000 or 2,500 meters is very attainable." And although the cost of the advanced rounds is still undisclosed, they are expected to be cheaper than rocket-propelled missiles, which they could conveniently replace in some roles. The impossible.
Impossible.
The remarkable technology behind the self-steering X-Acto bullets offers a promising future. If the munition alone can tackle wind, dust, and the myriad factors that diminish a sniper's accuracy, while also lowering the chances of a missed shot and the risk of exposure, the human behind the rifle might become unstoppable. Furthermore, the program strived to enhance troop safety by enlarging the shooter's standoff range and reducing target engagement timelines simultaneously by using fire and forget technology previously found in larger projectiles, such as the Harpoon missile. And while small caliber
Night, Holy Night. December 1944, Germany's on the back foot, cut in a vice by Allied forces on the west and the vengeful Soviet army on the east. Hitler and his leadership is no longer looking for victory against the Allied powers. They merely want to bring an end to the hostilities in the west and concentrate their forces on Germany's eastern border to repel the Soviet invasion. Given the numerous massacres Germany's carried out on Soviet soil, they are rightfully terrified of the vengeance the Red Army is waiting to unleash on its citizens. Hitler has long assumed direct command of the German army, as he believes he can drive the Western Allies to the negotiating table if he can inflict a massive setback on their forces. The port of Antwerp has become of critical importance to the Allied push toward Germany, shortening supply lines by hundreds of
The Christmas truce.
Having penetrated to the enemy's rear, German forces will then pivot north and south, attacking the Allies at their weak. They've chosen the location well, as this is where the U.S. forces are weakest, and the defenders are routed and thrown into retreat. But the Americans are quick to recognize Germany's goals, and U.S. forces along the Elsenborn Ridge and Bastogne put up a bitter defense. The American units here are the only forces keeping Germany off the road network that the Wehrmacht desperately needs to move their forces quickly and efficiently. Instead, stubborn American resistance breaks the German assault, bunching up its forces and causing significant delays as tanks and infantry are stuck in miles-long traffic jams. In the midst of the fighting, a small squad of U.S. soldiers finds themselves stuck behind enemy lines in the Hurtgen Forest. The 3 American soldiers had been trying to get back to friendly lines while avoiding German troops for 3 days, and one of their squad mates was seriously injured. The other 2, however, refused to leave him behind. Amongst the snow-covered forest, Elizabeth Vinken and her 12-year-old son Fritz were waiting for Dad to come home. The family had moved to the hunting cabin when their home was bombed by Allied planes. Fritz's father still worked in the nearby Aachen, where the family had once lived, and this Christmas Eve he was running late. Suddenly, there was a knock at the door. Elizabeth opened it and was shocked to discover 2 American soldiers standing on her porch, with a third lying in the snow. The Americans were armed but polite, and something stirred in Elizabeth's heart when she realized they'd barely looked out at their teens. Despite this being the enemy, Elizabeth had a Christian duty to aid those in need. She quickly invited them inside and ordered Fritz to fetch potatoes and the rooster she was planning on butchering for dinner. The Americans didn't speak German and Elizabeth didn't speak English, but the 2 sides were able to communicate through broken French. Elizabeth did what she could for the wounded American and made the others comfortable. A little while later, though, there was a second knock at the door. Elizabeth figured it was probably more lost Americans, and she and Fritz quickly answered the door. However, standing outside her cabin was a squad of 4 German soldiers, 1 corporal and 3 young soldiers still in their teens. The men wished her a Merry Christmas and told her they were lost and hungry. Elizabeth knew the penalty for harboring the enemy was death, but she informed the corporal that there were 3 others inside they wouldn't consider friends. The corporal immediately asked if they were Americans inside. Elizabeth stood her ground, confirming his suspicion and telling the corporal that one was badly injured. Perhaps unsure of what to do, perhaps exhausted in the fighting, the corporal hesitated until Elizabeth put her foot down and said, "It is the holy night and there will be no shooting here." Inside, the 2 Americans had guns at the ready. They were outnumbered and their injured comrade would be helpless, but they were prepared to fight to the death. Finally, the corporal relented, and Elizabeth demanded that if they wanted food and shelter, they had to leave their weapons outside. One by one, the Germans agreed and handed over their rifles. Then Elizabeth went inside and demanded the same of the Americans, taking their rifles. She stacked them outside next to the Germans. Inside the cabin, Elizabeth cooked while the Germans and Americans eyed each other warily. However, as the aroma of cooking food filled the air, the 2 sides began to relax. In an act of compassion, one of the German soldiers, who had been a medical student before being drafted, asked to inspect the wounded American soldier. Eyeing him carefully, he informed his comrades that he was in serious danger of infection, and only the cold had prevented one from setting in. The man had lost significant amount of blood and badly needed to eat and rest. Finally, the food was ready, roasted chicken and potatoes. As the oddball group sat together at the table, Elizabeth led them in saying grace. Perhaps it was exhaustion, homesickness on Christmas Eve, or a realization of the futility of war, but tears soon welled up in the eyes of both sides as the Germans and the Americans broke bread together. The next morning, the German corporal inspected the Americans' map and gave them directions to get back to their lines, leading them away from the route they'd planned on taking, knowing that the German forces had captured that town already. To help them find their way to safety, he gave them his compass, and then with a handshake, the 2 sides grabbed their weapons and left in opposite directions. Decades later, Fritz was running a bakery in Kapalama, Hawaii. For years, he tried to find any information about the American or German soldiers his mother had taken in that night, but had no success. President Reagan himself had even come to hear the story, and in a 1985 speech referenced the event to highlight reconciliation between former enemies during a stop in Germany. Fritz continued his search, yet remained unable to find any information on either the American or German soldiers. Finally, in 1995, the show Unsolved Mysteries aired an episode on the strange Christmas truce. The show's researchers discovered that a man living in a nursing home in Frederick, Maryland, had been telling a very similar story for years. Upon finding out, Fritz immediately flew to Maryland and met with Ralph Blank, who still had the compass the German soldier had given him. In tears, Ralph told Fritz, "Your mother saved my life." Later, Fritz would eventually be able to contact the other American soldier involved in the incident, but sadly, he was never able to find any of the German soldiers. This small Christmas truce would be an insignificant event in the greater scope of the Second World War, but a powerful reminder that war and hatred is not the natural state of man. Sadly, it's often only the veterans of combat who recognize that fact. But this was hardly the strangest truce of World War II. In 1940, Germany had a big problem. It needed to secure the supply of Swedish iron to continue building up its military. However, doing so meant keeping sea lanes open between itself and neutral Norway, a difficult task given the Royal Navy's superiority. Of specific importance was the Norwegian port of Narvik, as this allowed iron ore to continue to flow to Germany when the Baltic Sea would freeze in the winter. Norway soon mobilized its military as its neutrality was being seriously infringed on by both the Allies and the Germans, who were eager to weaken each other. Inevitably, though, Norway found itself on the side of the Allies, as the Germans, feeling they had no other choice, invaded Norway in order to secure the all-important flow of ore. During an air battle between the Royal Air Force and the Luftwaffe over Norway, a German bomber was downed by a British fighter. The planes crashed, immediately killing the tail gunner, but the 3 remaining crew members managed to survive. Even more incredibly, not too far away, the very same British fighter that had shot them down had crash-landed itself after experiencing engine troubles. Both crews were now stuck in the middle of nowhere in freezing temperatures. The British pilot had spotted an old cabin while he tried to set his plane down, and the 2 survivors immediately set out for it. However, upon arriving, they found the waiting German bomber crew armed with pistols and knives. Wisely thinking it'd be best that these Germans didn't know they were the fighter crew who had brought them down, the pilot assured them they were themselves survivors of a downed bomber. The British crew convinced the Germans to stay in the cabin while they sought another place for shelter. Agreeing, the 2 enemies departed amicably, with the British eventually stumbling across the Grotley Hotel. Unfortunately, the place was closed for the winter, but it did provide shelter from the bitter cold winter night. The next morning, the German crew came across the hotel, and the 2 parties shared a breakfast together. Later in the day, the English pilot and one of the German bomber crew left the hotel together to try to find help. If they couldn't find anyone in this hostile wilderness, they would all surely die of starvation. The truce would come to an end when the 2 came across a Norwegian ski patrol looking for downed air crews. The German was shot dead by a Norwegian patrolman when he reached for his pistol, and after the patrol was led to the hotel, the surviving Germans were arrested and eventually sent to a POW camp in Canada. Unsurprisingly, the strangest truce of possibly all time came from World War II and led to Germans and Americans teaming up against the Nazis? In 1943, Ither Castle in the Austrian Alps was turned into a prison for VIP prisoners from Dachau. The luxury prison housed important political and military prisoners that the Nazis could use to bargain with the Allies, and it included 2 former prime ministers of France and General Charles de Gaulle's older sister, Marie-Agnes Caillou. Despite being prisoners, life was relatively good at Ither Castle, with the Nazis showing unusual courtesy to their prisoners and keeping them well fed. It wouldn't be until the war took a turn against Nazi Germany that things would become more difficult for the VIP prisoners. By May 1945, it was clear that Germany was going to lose the war. The guards at Ither Castle fled, but the prisoners inside were still stuck there as the Gestapo and the dreaded SS roamed the countryside. 2 prisoners set out to look for the advancing Americans, running into German Major Joseph Goebbels. The Wehrmacht officer had become deeply disillusioned with the Nazi Party toward the end of the war, and even joined the Austrian resistance to strike against the SS. With only 20 loyal soldiers, though, the Major needed help if he was going to get the VIP prisoners to safety. Advancing into the area was the American 23rd Tank Battalion of the 12th Armored Division. Goebbels made contact with the unit commander, Captain Jack Lee, approaching the Americans while waving a white flag. After explaining the situation to the American captain, Lee immediately agreed to send a rescue mission to Castle Ither. Thus, a joint force of Americans and Germans made haste to the castle, parking their accompanying Sherman tank outside the entrance. The prisoners prepared to move, but the rescue force decided it'd be safer to spend the night behind the walls of the castle. At dawn, however, the castle came under attack by the fanatical Waffen-SS, who were seeking to kill the VIPs, Americans, and the Germans that they now considered traitors. The SS managed to destroy the tank, leaving the rescue force without heavy vehicle support. However, thanks to the castle's fortifications, the defenders were able to hold off the SS assault. The firefight lasted an entire day, with machine gun fire heard for miles around. Finally, as advancing American forces were nearing, it was clear the SS was defeated. The 100 survivors surrendered and were sent to POW camps. The only casualty for the friendly forces was the man who had engineered the rescue effort and took a chance by asking his enemy for help, Major Joseph Gangel, who was killed by a sniper. The brave effort to protect the French VIPs would end up shaping the very future of France, as many of those rescued would go on to directly affect French post-war policies. Now go check out the weirdest weapons of World War II.
The ship is on fire!
Perhaps it's not clicking, perhaps it's the crocodile around the corner, walking around saying, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. I hope it's the crocodile. Оля, A+ Russian. Привет, медведь. We help spread message, but you ought to come to our premieres too. Oля, I will. I promise. I will do retrospectively. And yours premieres do not show up on my schedule somehow. I gotta do something about it. Go to Telegram, find me, and the best way to contact through Telegram. Because I don't go to Instagram at all. Seferian, and I thought Zelensky was supposed
Concentrate
to be
fire on the
comedian.
designated
Seems
target.
Medvedev is changing occupations.
Torpedoes, direct front.
Seems that way. They kind of traded places, you know. From Reno, Nevada.
Torpedoes, dead
From
ahead.
Scotland. Nice. Sophie was
Torpedoes,
buffering
dead
because
ahead.
someone was calling me. Perfect time. 2 a.m. It was perfect time for them. Let's have a chat. Oh, it's 2 a.m.? Just, you know, let's have a 2 a.m. tea. For the club, thank you so much, Motaton. I appreciate it.
I need help.
Valerie O. Howdy, howdy. Colorado, if I'm not mistaken.
I need intelligence data.
Please pray for Wayne, my brother. Oh yeah, that's not good. Yes, I will pray.
Fighter destroyed.
Mind breaks. Mr. Inside Russia. Would the war not happen if Ukraine kept some of the A-bombs after the fall of the USSR? One of the possibilities probably wouldn't have happened. And the thing is, Russia and the United States guaranteed on paper that they would protect us.
Torpedoes to starboard.
Somehow
Torpedoes, direct
Russians
front.
just don't do Ukraine.
Torpedoes to starboard.
Oh, it's not a big deal. Oh, it happened a long time ago.
Torpedoes to
Are you
starboard.
kidding me? Like
Torpedoes
1992?
astern.
Jeez. Come on.
Pull below the waterline. We're
Um,
flooding quickly.
But even if without A-bombs, Ukraine should not have been. I mean, this whole thing is just such a. I don't know what it is. Tragedy,
Problem solved,
mistake,
sir.
yeah. I kept on having feeling
ship
that
is on
somebody
fire.
made a big mistake. They just don't want to admit it. News IRA, that's it. The internet runs out of
Torpedoes, astern.
Kazakhstan. Well, first of all, I don't know really what
Torpedoes, astern.
Kazakhstan
Main
is,
turret
and I'm
critically
not in
damaged.
Kazakhstan.
Battleship destroyed.
He's back. I'll be back.
Yeah, did he message you?
I did, yeah, he did.
Oh, nice.
I was trying to
So I understood what it was. Once I understood, like, the band evasion, well, it seems like the original offense they stuck by.
Mm-hmm.
And the band evasion, that one I understand, because if they think you've broken the rules and you are streaming on a different channel, then it pretty much is circumventing their ban.
A little bit. It's kind of weird though. I wish they'd be more clear
I wish they
about
were
that.
lenient.
You wish
Or,
what?
like, if you have long years of a good track record,
Mhm.
you know what I'm saying? If you're not somebody who's constantly flagged or whatever,
Mhm.
I wish they had more leniency or, like, you know, some kind of forgiveness.
Yeah, because the dude's been on YouTube for fucking 10 years.
And if you never get a strike, it's just like,
It's pretty
Okay,
wild.
that's
They're like,
it.
okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and just delete your existence now. And it's like, okay, well,
yeah, that's rough. Sorry, what were you gonna say about the band evasion?
I didn't even know about the ban evasion one. It's a little bit weird because like on Twitch, the ban evasion thing. Well, honestly, I think ban evasion. Well, no, it kind of makes more sense because like everybody has like one channel generally, unless you're like a really big streamer. Like people tend to just have one channel. So like if you get banned on one and you
most people have multiple channels. Is that true?
wait, what?
Yeah, they'll have like a shorts channel or a clips channel.
No. Listen to what I'm saying. Sorry, on Twitch. Right?
Oh, Twitch.
Yeah,
Okay, Twitch.
so I can understand on Twitch getting nailed for ban evasion makes sense. But like you were just saying, on YouTube, it's a little bit weirder because people run like 3 or 4 channels. So like if you get a strike on one, let's say that you're not a streamer at all, right? Let's say that you get a strike on one and you can't upload for a week. That also means that if you upload on any other channel, you're gonna get like permabanned, right? Like that's pretty wild, no?
I mean, yeah, I guess YouTube wants to make sure you're following the rules. I think it doesn't make sense for them to allow you to break the rules on one channel, get 3 strikes, and then be able to just go on your other channel and continue to do the same thing.
Well, I can understand that if you're getting like permabanned, but my understanding is that this was his first or second strike, right? It wasn't even 3 strikes. They just, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would have just gone away after a week or two. It wouldn't have been a big deal.
Exactly, yeah. So it's just so shitty that it like went from like, oh, it's like a 1 or 2 week thing to now I'm like, my 10 years of career is gone.
Yeah, yeah, and I told him like, I don't think I've ever seen YouTube undo permabans unless they've made a mistake, and I don't think they have. Their rules are just too strict. I think when it comes to these kinds of situations.
Mm-hmm.
I do think it should be somewhat like circumstantial. Like, is this person, what rules are they breaking? Okay, and then also, what is their track record on the thing? And then that should be weighed. But it doesn't seem like YouTube does that. If you're not a big YouTuber, I don't think they give you any grace.
Yeah, and you have to be a, even if you're a big YouTuber, like one of the things that always shocked me about YouTube is like, you'll see people with like fucking 6 million subs, like even Linus Tech Tips and shit will be going to Twitter to complain. And it's like, damn, I would have imagined you guys have like fucking direct lines through your management or something.
I mean, you do have somebody, like, let's say if a video of mine gets demonetized, I could go to my partner and get some help, which
Sure.
is great.
Yeah, but I still
Outside
see
of
like really
that-
big YouTubers having to go to Twitter to get like attention for the YouTube shit. Like Ethan's done it, Linus has done it, like even like every big YouTuber has done it before. That just seems a little bit crazy to me.
Yeah. So what, does that make you nervous at all?
Well, no, because I know about that rule. If my shit gets striked, then I'm done for a week or 2. I just don't stream.
Sorry.
Well, anyway, what have you been doing? Are you happy you're getting fan art from my community now?
Oh my god, when I saw that shit, I was so lost. I was like, what the f is this person doing?
It's
How'd that-
really...
how'd that-
Well,
Yeah, go for it.
it's really funny because I know you probably don't keep up to all the lore. Actually, you probably know more lore than you'd care to admit, which is funny. But it's funny because Shaylin for Max, Shaylin was intentionally kept out of all of Max's like stream shit. Like he was like, I don't want her online. I don't want her in these communities. It's toxic. It's bad. Blah 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 blah. But as soon as all this shit started happening, and it was like mega advantageous for him to have her out in these communities. Now she has like a really big role in like doing art, being on Twitter, going on shows, and he's like completely 180 that stance on her being involved in the online content, which I thought was kind of funny.
Yeah, well, she's useful.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what's been happening other than like maybe the more recent update. Even that one I only heard because I was hanging out with someone. They're like, hey, did you see? I was like, what?
Uh-oh, that's never a good.
What
One.
is this? And then I saw the image and I started chuckling.
Yeah.
I'm confused. What do they think? Like you I guess you're the overlords of some of the poor ones, but like
I'm the Yeah, I don't know how you're. Yeah, my fucking slave dog to go and attack other people, whatever. But like, basically, the idea is that I keep a bunch of people under my thumb, and then as soon as I don't like them, I like sick my community on them, and then I use the others as like white blood cells, is his term, to like go out and attack all the communities. Just yeah.
And what's the worst the Taliban's done? They've written like bad stuff about people on your Discord?
I think the worst thing my community does, it's like a normal internet thing, but I expect more from my people. The worst thing that I don't like about my community is it's very hard for them to just be like, oh, this guy has a bad take or this person dub. Like they have to go ultra hardcore on everything. Like, let's say somebody gives a bad take, where somebody comes out and is like, oh, like, I don't think the Monica Lewinsky thing was a big deal. Like, it's impossible for people to make a post where, like, I really disagree with this take, I think he's wrong here. Instead, it's gotta be like, oh, I didn't know this guy was a f***ing rapist. I hate this piece of shit. His takes have always actually been bad, and he's a loser, and it's like, bro, chill, damn.
I mean, the internet's not for humanizing.
No, yeah, I know. But, like, if you wait, like, 2 weeks, like, they'll reverse course as soon as somebody says something else, so...
There's a big problem. Like, you know, when you're talking about a fan base of hundreds of thousands of people, you speak about it oftentimes as like a monolithic thing, but it really is, right? You got people who comment, which are like 200 people, and then it sounds like, oh, this is Taliban community. It's really just 200 out of like 300 people. Most people didn't give a shit about the whole story. A lot of folks maybe had an opinion but didn't share it, and then a lot of people agreed, but they just, if you agree, you're not going to always go out of your way to say I agree with something. No. And so oftentimes, even with this discourse, people are like, well, how are you going to address the fact that 1,000 people in this comment section of a 3 million view video had something negative? It's like, is that really representative of the entirety? Like, oh, actually, this is a good question for you. Mm-hmm. You've often said this. Mm-hmm. You feel very responsible for how your community feels about a certain topic. But I have to ask, how well can you gauge how your community feels about a topic if, like, pretty much most of what you're going off of is either a comment section on YouTube or a Reddit post or Reddit posts?
I just have to go off of, like, the totality of all the commentary, basically. Like, that's all I can do, basically. See what gets liked on my YouTube, like, what has the most likes, what gets upvoted on my subreddit, what is, like, the general sentiment on my chat. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this next question. Mm-hmm. Do you think that most of the people that engage with your content engage with other aspects of your community? Because I see you getting, 20 million views a month, right? And your videos are getting 200,000. Would you say your engagement on Reddit or even YouTube is, like, a fraction of that?
Actually, no. The communities are actually even quite distinct from each other, to where, like, I have, like, a very different YouTube chat base than I do with my DGG chat, and those will be very different. My subreddit and my my comments on my my YouTube videos, right? Like, all of these will be, like, quite different from each other. Yeah.
Yeah. So when you feel like your community is going to an extreme, you're basing that off of, like, most of what you see in your subreddit, or
just everywhere. Just depends. Like, different. Like, I know, like, the Last Night on Destiny channel has quite a surprising number of conservative viewers, even not in the chat, but in the actual comment sections. Like, I've seen that recently, so that's kind of weird. My subreddit is just, a lot of them shit on me without even watching it. My subreddit is kind of weird. My DGG chat is going to be the most, like, loyal community I have, obviously. My YouTube chat is, like, pretty good. They're probably second. A lot of conservative-ish people in there. But yeah, you know, I just try to keep eyes on everything and get the general feel for everything going on.
Do you feel like when you do these kinds of things, they have a striking impact in regards to the kind of content you want to weed out?
When I do these kinds of things, do they have an impact?
Like, you know, when you you do your anti-misogyny arc where you're like really going hard and you're banning certain kinds of stuff, do you feel like there's a shift in the community in the way that they think?
Yeah, I think it happens.
There's not people that think a certain type of way and that you don't want as fans.
Yeah, it definitely changes. It just takes a little while for sure. But I think, like, after we've done this anti-misogyny thing, I think the community's gotten a lot better. I mean, obviously there's still room.
You think they respect women a whole lot more?
It comes with time, I think, yeah. But, like, the general chats and the comments I've seen have gotten a lot better. There's not as much of, like, the cringy, like, this makes me hate women and this makes me love women, all that shit. Like a lot of that for the most part is gone. There's still, like, a couple comments that come through every now and then. But after the language changes, following the language, the thoughts will slowly change. I think.
Ooh.
Have you ever read 1984?
Is that the one with the surveillance and Big Brothers?
Yeah, everybody says it. That's not what that book is about at all. Have you? It's the. Everybody says this. Yeah, I'm sorry. Everybody says it.
Hey, I'm not professing to know.
No, I know. I'm sorry. Ignore what I said. That was a pretentious. In my opinion, the most interesting concept in 1984 is part of what they do in the, is it the Ministry of Truth that the main guy works at? Is that they try to get rid of certain words and replace them with other words. And the idea, Orwell's idea in that story is that if you control the language of a group of people, you control the thoughts of a group of people. And by eliminating
like the pronoun stuff.
Yeah, kind of, yeah. But basically by eliminating certain words, you can, like, people won't even have the concepts in their mind, which is an interesting thing. But I think that it works that way when it comes to humor. Like, if I go into a group and I make a bunch of really racist jokes and I do it over and over and over and over and over again, I can introduce racist thoughts eventually, like, pretty easy into that community. Yeah, and then same thing with, like, misogynistic shit or anything else. Like, yeah, it just happens.
When you tell your people not to go hate raid or do any of that cringe shit, do you feel like that does a successful job to stop people from leaving angry comments?
Yeah, for sure. I think it does a really good job, but the problem is the scale of my stuff makes it hard for anyone else to notice. Like, here's a thing. If somebody were to get one death threat online, they would think it's a really big deal. If somebody gets 6 or 7 hateful tweeter people, like, in their mentions, they'll think that's a really big deal. But, like, when I've got an audience of, like, 5 or 10,000 or 100,000 on a video, like, yeah, like, bro, if 5 to 10 people are leaving shitty comments on Twitter, like, that's really good for me. That's, like, that means I'm doing a really good job. Because if I was directing people, or if I had no control whatsoever, bro, it would be hundreds or maybe thousands of people showing up to go and, like, shit on you in the comment section, you know? So that's kind of annoying, but
I won't lie, you haven't moved me on that. So I was really like, man, these are grown adults. They can do. And then I remember thinking, if I told these motherfuckers to go and do a hate raid, they would 150% go do that shit.
Destroy.
These guys are crazy. Yeah. They would do it, which is, I've never even considered wanting to do one. But I said, if I can convince them to do that, I think I could, maybe not convince all of them, but definitely sway quite a few of them for them to not do that. So that's made me a bit more mindful. It made me acknowledge maybe I do have a bit more responsibility there.
Sure.
But it just sucks. I feel like I'm responsible for these people.
Yeah, it does. It definitely does. And the internet's changed. Like, it was more fun when you could make, like, crazy jokes and shit all the time. But, like, now you don't know if people are gonna, like, pick up a gun and go murder people. So it's like,
Absolutely. I gotta preface things because I'm just like, bro, I'm chilling. I know this don't mean that much, but you guys are a little bit.
Yeah.
Who knows what people are going through at the same time? So it's just, if you don't know who you're talking to, it's hard not to know when you're stepping on a landmine, but yeah, you've moved me on that one. What were you gonna say?
I saw you had done a video, but I haven't watched it yet because I don't want to blow up.
Is that on the Courtney Ryan?
Yeah.
Yeah, she hit me up. She told me that they're not from rich families.
Wait, did you take my commentary on that, or did you do that on your own, you mother?
What do you mean?
When I watched those videos, I had an epiphany like halfway through one of them. It was when the blonde girl started talking about her dream car, and she started naming off.
She said a Pagani.
No.
Like, wait, no, more reasonably. If I'm not talking about my dream,
it wasn't
I'll probably
even
go for a fucking Ferrari or something.
It wasn't even a Piccati or whatever. She named some like fucking like Falcon X-17 jet, some shit. Yeah, and I was like,
hypercar.
I don't know what the f you're even talking about. Like, and I remember looking up, I was like, this is like a $300,000 or $400,000. It's like, no, this is like over $1 million car.
2.5 million.
Yeah. And then I started to look at how these people were dressed, how these people talk, and even that one, the black lady that was like a single mom, and listening to what it sounded like she's like, oh, I like to travel, and I'm like, and she's like, I've been to like Europe, and I'm like, okay.
I was thinking the same thing because it sounded like they never worked in their life.
Yeah, these people, it's not just that they're like brainless women or whatever. These people are just rich, and they come from loaded families, 1,000,000%. And then I started to look at the way they dress, their perfect faces. I went to a prep school, okay? The perfect teeth. I'm like, these motherfuckers are rich. That's what I know.
Maybe Courtney Ryan is lying, but what she told me was a lot of them are not from rich families.
Damn, I wonder if Courtney, maybe she's from like a billionaire family, and she's like, these guys are poors. I don't know.
No, she's not. No, Courtney's definitely not from rich.
I would fight with her on that. But yeah, I don't know, because some of the answers.
They are? Okay,
yeah.
But think about this. Okay? If I grant you, okay, listen, what if they're not? What is that? That's what I was asking myself. If these people are not from rich families, what does that mean? Am I losing touch with what, like, maybe some of the younger folks are growing up on? And one of them said it towards the end. She's like, social media has just made this whole, like, crazy earnings thing much more accessible or normalized.
But that's the thing. I don't believe that. If I were to go out into like into my old world, into the service world of like McDonald's or like my diner restaurant shit, if you were to ask a girl like working at IHOP, she can be on Instagram all day. She's never going to tell you she's looking for a guy that's making 250,000, 600,000 a year. No shot. I don't believe it.
That's what I also thought, and slowly I'm like, maybe I'm unaware.
I don't think. I just
Maybe this TikTok. Listen, I'm with you. But if it turns out we're wrong, then there's been a paradigm shift that's happened somehow.
Yeah,
And
some
part
shit
of
is going on.
And here's the thing.
Uh-huh.
Even if they are 30, okay, and these people are from affluent backgrounds, the fact that they don't even understand money is already a really big deal. To be at that age and to not understand what the numbers you're saying is very scary to me.
Yeah.
Because you've been working and you have this.
Exactly.
There's no way these women have jobs. They said so. Some of them work in tech and stuff.
Yeah, because one of the women even said that, like, I want to be earning the same as my husband, and I think I can do that easily. And I think she wanted her husband to earn $250K a year. I think that was like the number she gave, and she thinks that she can get there easily. And I'm like, it's gotta be loaded families.
Hey, listen, I checked the one that said she wanted to make as much as her husband, split it 50-50. She just got her passport this year. So I'm like, what? You haven't never traveled and you've been making this kind of like money that's gonna get you to 200? Like, bitch, you are delusional.
Oh, that was the 400K girl. Someone said, yeah, I don't know.
That was the 250K
That was the
girl, the one that's wearing the pink. I was doing my research because I really was curious, and I was talking to you. I talked to some ladies and asked them about this, and one of them was telling me like when she lived in Miami specifically, she heard all kinds of women talking like that all the time.
Miami, depending on where. If you're talking like Miami Beach, yeah, I could believe that. There are girls here whose whole lives is to just like, their goal is to make it onto some dude's yacht and just be pretty and hot there all day. Like, I could believe that in this place for sure.
Yeah, I am super curious. I do want to see going forward like how much more common. But yeah, if what Courtney said is true, and these are all women from not rich backgrounds, then I think that means something. I'm not entirely sure what. She's apparently doing more of those, and so Courtney's basically said to me that in interviewing a lot of these people, they have no concept of what money is. I did a video about women who are at USC, which is they're college kids,
okay,
and all of them were spouting off really stupid numbers similar to that. And I was wondering, I'm like, well, that's an age thing. These are college students. They probably never worked. Like, it makes sense they would understand. But if this is bigger, what do you think could be the reason why? If we're just pontificating.
If it is bigger, what is the reason why?
If people really have these kinds of, they have.
Yeah,
jobs.
my guess would probably be social media, where you see everybody looks like they're fucking ultra rich and traveling and going on vacations and shit all the time. That'd be my guess. That influencer lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because influencers like put or at least it appears to put into reach like celebrity life to anybody that can go big on Instagram, right? Like before that stuff was gated as like, I've got to be a Hollywood actress or I've got to have like rich parents or whatever. But now it's like, if I just post the right pictures on Instagram, I can fucking make it big or whatever. Fuck, I should do a thing with Jeff. Instead of it change my mind, I should ask girls questions on like a University of Florida campus or whatever. Now I'm curious.
No, don't go to campus to do that. I think that's the worst place to do it about money.
Well, but it's like these are like average kids that are like plugged into like social media and like technology and like they go to school. So I'm not like going to like the hood or I'm not going to like fucking Beverly Hills. Like I'm just grabbing kids off like college campuses. I feel like 18 to 22 is like a good, because this is like the age that people are talking about like children's minds on social media and everything anyway, right? Like.
Yeah, but I'm expecting them to have ridiculous standards about money and what their lives are going to be like, because at that age, like you've never even had a career. Like, of course, you're going to say something stupid. Like, I'm going to be an astronaut. You know, that's normal. I would want to see what grown women are saying, because they're the ones who are potentially impacted by these like unrealistic standards. Right? It's one thing if an 18-year-old thinks they're going to make 500,000. It's another thing if like you're making 30K a year and you think you're going to make $500,000 someday at like 29. Then I'm like, all right, there's something wrong there.
Yeah.
Like, how do you live this long and you still don't have a reasonable expectation? And to be fair, like I remember one of the blonde girls in the video. You know what I mean? She was. It's so funny. You know the girl with the beanie in the video?
Yeah, she was base. She was like the most down to earth.
She's the most successful one out of everyone there, it appears.
Yeah.
When I checked her socials, like her socials were going crazy. She's like, I guess she's like touring and doing a bunch of cool shit. So it's interesting that the most successful one out of all of them was the one that had the most realistic standards.
Sure.
Yeah, that was surprising. Do you feel like Courtney was being disingenuous with the editing and getting rich women?
Well, I mean, she's used these same. Yeah, she's used these same women for a lot. Is it for every show or?
No. This video and the previous one had different women. Only the blonde girl is the same woman.
Is she the only one? Okay, because I feel like I've seen at least one of those girls in multiple videos.
Yeah, you saw one. You saw the blonde girl.
Okay, gotcha. They all look the same to me.
She messaged me. She said, "Take me out the video." I was like, "That's not nice."
You're gonna disrespect me?
She said, "You could have asked me before you used one of my Instagram pictures for your thumbnail." I'm like, well,
Ooh.
Instagram's public. What do you want me to do?
DMCA incoming.
Can you imagine? I wanted to ask you. Someone reamed me out because I was doing this critique of someone like basically alluding to the fact that like feminists and feminism was like the thing that was going to bridge the gap between men and women using like. Well, she was basically saying like feminism could help out. And I was kind of going through like feminist theory just a tad bit and just saying like I don't think that's the answer to whatever issues men are doing, blah blah blah. He said, well, that's white feminism. White feminism is like, man, black feminism is different. And I sat on that for a little bit. And I'm like, because what do you think about that? Do you understand the differences between these different branches of this political movement?
Well, I know that feminism in its original incarnation, a lot of the critiques that they have of patriarchy should be things that are concerned with the well-being of men. So like men feeling sad and lonely, men feeling suicidal, like these are all things that technically feminists should be concerned with, because if you believe in patriarchy, you should believe that patriarchy oppresses everybody. Although the way that plays out realistically today is it seems like a lot of people just don't like men. The difference between black and white feminism, my understanding is that there was a schism, there's kind of a schism in the feminist movement because like white feminists, basically feminism benefited white women a ton. They've like made out like bandits. They're killing it in school. Their income is increasing. Like everything is just going well for them. But like black women especially have still kind of gotten shafted, and they're like, okay, well, feminism doesn't seem to be working for us now, so we're going to focus on our shit now. But yeah, I don't know like where the movements are today, or like who like the thought leaders are. But if you wanted to do research on that, the most important thing would probably be like who are like the leading feminists today, and then see what they're saying, I guess. Yeah.
Have you done a bit of research on feminist theory? Have you taken the time to read up on like feminist shit like that?
Nope. Not because I don't like feminists. I'm just lazy.
I think. Did you see that study that said that even young people are like shrinking feminism and essentially turning away from it? Or think that. I think it was a pure research, but it basically was saying how even for young folks, they think that feminism has done more harm than good. Not that I share that sentiment, because at the end of the day, a movement that pretty much gives, or it's worked really hard to give women their rights in the workspace in a lot of different areas, is an overwhelmingly good movement. But the fact that there's such a negative reaction to feminism, what do you think that says?
I mean, it's a problem for sure, right?
Can anyone pull that up so you can see it? Maybe that'd be. I was really surprised by the poll itself. Young people.
I mean, I believe you if you say it. I don't not believe you.
Somebody else will send it to you. But yes, sorry, I cut you off. Are you surprised by those numbers at all?
Well, wait, what was the numbers? I just heard you say that like some people.
I think it's like, I could be street, but if I'm being conservative, I think it's like over half of people think that feminism has done more harm than good, and that number even tracks even along with young people. It's more common with men, but even women are growingly feeling that way about feminism.
I think once you've kind of like achieved your purpose, or it seems like you've achieved your purpose, then people are going to view whatever that particular thing is as being kind of like cringe. So like if like let's say that like racism is solved or some shit in the United States, but you like carry on with like affirmative action, you carry on with like racial sensitivity or some shit after like 10 years, and you ask people like, has civil rights done more harm than good? People might say yes to that, even if like in the totality of things, like, well, the answer is obviously no, it hasn't done more harm than good, but it'll feel like that at the end of its run when it's like, okay, maybe we should stop this. Like people will discount everything that's happened in the beginning and just look at like what the current effects are, and if they think if it's going too far right now, they'll say it's caused more harm than good, basically.
Yeah. Last question I got for you. Do you think that there's a problem with reaction-like content? And if so, what?
Like reactionary or just like react?
Yeah, the react stuff on YouTube. I heard some video essayists saying the react people are the issue on YouTube, or one of the many problems on YouTube, since they don't allow for deep-rooted well thought out arguments or ideas when reacting to Twitter, etc., etc.?
I mean, it depends. I mean, you can do reactful stuff in a very thoughtful way and give good commentary. The vast majority of video essayists are dog shit. They don't know anything they're talking about, and their content is shit. So, I mean, like, I'm not going to sit here and say, like...
What's your big beef with the video essay people? Right?
What?
What's your beef with these people?
Most of them
because
are...
they just don't like debates?
Well, it's not so much that they don't like debates. It's that, like, if they won't entertain a conversation about the material, oftentimes it's because they don't know anything about what they put in their video. And the few times I've seen a video essayist try to have a conversation about a contentious topic in a video, it's very quickly obvious that, like, the entire limits of their knowledge about that particular topic, where, like, every single word said is the only thing they know about it in that video, which is very disturbing to me. So yeah, I have a very low opinion of, like, video essayists. I think they tend to be pretty stupid. But, like, I mean, but regardless, so you can have shitty reactors and you can have good reactors. You can have good video essays. You can have shitty video essays. It just depends.
So you feel like because they weren't able to say more than what's... Do you feel like they should... If you talk to an expert, for example, in the field, like someone who's, like, very focused expert, like someone who's just do brain cancer or whatever, do you feel like if they're... Do you think that wouldn't yield a similar result in regards to the conversation itself?
Nope. The way that I always put it is that, like, if I were to do like a 10-minute video on a topic, I could probably talk for like 10 hours on that topic. Like if we were to talk about any of the manifestos I've done, like the Kettle's manifesto, like there was so much reading and research that went into that. I could talk so much about any of the clips I use or anything, or for any of my little manifesto things is going to be like that, or for any subject matter that I have, any type of expertise in, so like music stuff or whatever. The idea of putting together a 10-minute video and that video has every nugget of knowledge I know shows to me that, like, you haven't taken the time to properly educate yourself enough to contextualize the information that you have. You can't make a 10-minute video with 10 minutes of knowledge, because then you don't even know, like, what the context of that 10 minutes of knowledge is in. You don't know what it sits in, and that's kind of necessary for, like, deeper topics to dive into, I think.
Ooh. And when did you realize you hated these video essays? What was the moment that broke you? You were like, yo, fuck these guys.
I don't know. I've seen a few of them debate, like, Vosh, and just listening to them talk about their shit, and it's like, how do you not understand anything? Or even just some video essays are really bad. Or there's a thing that happens where somebody will get a certain fact wrong, and I'm like, the only way you can get this wrong is if you truly don't know what you're talking about. Like, there's no other rationalization for how you could just not know this particular thing, you know? Yeah.
It's interesting because I think because people do these lengthy videos that are pretty much unwatchable for most people, I have a hard time sitting through them. I find them super boring and dull. And I think folks often say, well, if you find it so boring and dull, then maybe you shouldn't discuss this matter, which is fair. I mean, someone has the patience to read through a bunch of these studies. And, like, if you want to be an expert in some of these topics, you should be able to read through some of the boring stuff and go through it.
Yeah, potentially.
I don't know what it is. The video essays, that sneaky characterization of them, like, does make me laugh a little bit.
What was his characterization again?
They all got the same mustache or something like that.
Oh, yeah, the same, aesthetic lighting, yeah. The bisexual lighting, yeah.
It is true. But a part of me is saying maybe I'm just being unfair to them.
Nah, fuck them. Don't ever worry about being unfair to those fucking losers. They're almost as degenerate as streamers, so.
Oh, man. You ever seen that study that said that women in old age fare better or are better off single than with a man or whatever?
Nope.
It's basically saying, like, oh yeah, women when they age, like, if they're with a partner, they're going to be worse off than if they remained unmarried and stayed alone. And I'm like, that doesn't sound fucking like this. I've heard that so many times, but I do not believe that people just dying by themselves or, like, on their own are going to fare off better. I imagine women probably do better in old age, but I just don't believe I just don't believe that they're going to thrive in that.
Yeah.
So I looked.
Wait, whose voice is that in the background?
Sorry, I'm doing what you do.
Yeah, wait, no, but I'm just curious. Who is it?
I don't know. It's I'm playing Darktide.
Oh, okay. Jesus, it sounds like Dan. I feel like I'm.
Yeah, I thought it was Dan a few times too. I had to check the VC to make sure he didn't join to this lab.
Oh, Jesus. Okay, gotcha. I thought it was.
And then I realized one of the guys
crazy.
I'm playing with online he keeps talking. It's just, yeah, they have in-game voice chat, which I thought I turned off. But
No, you're fine. You're fine. I was just curious who it was. Okay, gotcha.
yeah, I try to play games other than Factorial, so don't judge me.
Base, no problem.
And honestly, playing games while talking is not as hard if you don't really care about the subject matter.
Yep.
Okay, true.
Damn right.
Which I think is the case for you. I think I now understand how you play this fucking game. and you're able to have conversations. It's like I don't really care about the game, and I don't really care about the subject. I think I could do this.
Gotcha.
Because I've noticed the only time you stop playing the games when you get really heated. You get emotional.
Well, it'll usually be in it if there's like a circumstance that comes up where I have to think like really hard about the topic. Like if it's something I've never thought about before, I usually have to stop and like, okay, wait, hold on, I need to get my.
Look at us having the most riveting conversation. Both of us just gaming away, just chit-chatting to thousands of people just watching us. I suspect most of your viewers anyways don't really watch intently. They're probably just watching on their peripherals while they're playing games and stuff like that.
Yeah, maybe, yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, so I looked it up, and it turns out the sociologist that was being quoted by all these women, like feminists all the time, had been exposed for like spreading fake news,
Base.
and so he had to retract a bunch of stuff out of his book. And I thought it was worth discussing because it's something I'd heard so many times. So I made a video about it, and the individual who I referenced, kind of spreading that fake news, was really upset by the video I made, referencing the mistake of quoting. You know, it's this video essays. And to be fair, like I understand why she got mad. She got mad because
Did you call her name? Or?
No, it's because like she did a 40-minute video, and I kind of focused more on like 10 minutes of it rather than like everything else she said. So she felt like you misrepresented. I was like, bro, but I get it. But she called into question my ethics and all this stuff. And it made me start to sit there and think, damn, am I maybe more unethical than I realize? And
Well, when you say ethics, what do you mean by that? Like in regards to what?
because I think it's not the first. I think it's maybe the second time. I've done a lot of videos, so I don't feel too terrible. But when people accuse you, have people ever accused you of like misrepresenting them?
Yeah, of course, people do it all the time. Yeah.
And how are you able to tell the difference between you actually misrepresenting people or them just not being happy with criticism?
I mean, that's going to be a hyper individualized. We'd have to go through like specific examples to figure out if I am or aren't, right?
Fair.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, what are you going to look for to be able to tell the difference?
Generally.
So if you're referencing some source material and you're what's going to be the difference between like misrepresenting somebody?
Usually I'll try to look for them like making similar statements like throughout multiple times. Like repetition is always the most important thing. So like if somebody, let's say somebody made a video and they're like yeah, you know, I think men are kind of better than women. And I'm like, oh, you know, I don't like this guy because he seems to say that like women are worse than men. And then this guy's like, dude, you took me out of context. I was clearly joking. And I'm like, okay, well, you've made the same statement like 7 times. And I don't think it's a joke every time, right? Like that might be one way to do it. If somebody says something like, oh, like I'm a centrist, I don't do this type of content, like I'm not like a conservative, and I can look at their comment sections and I say, okay, well, your comment sections are overwhelmingly conservative. Like I don't know, there's like a lot of little checks you can do like that, but nothing is like foolproof, and you can still fuck up. Yeah, so it just depends on.
Yeah. I think because of you, I've tried to make more efforts over time to see times where I might be fucking up in terms of my responsibilities or whatever. And I blame you for that, man.
Thanks. I try to make everybody that creates content their life worse on the internet, so.
Yeah, bro. It used to be more fun before I knew you. Now I'm just trying to be responsible and shit. I fucking hate it.
It's pretty cringe.
It is super cringe. Oh, yo. I met a girl who watches your stuff, and she often says it's cringe.
Based. Every time you look at her, I hope you see my shining smiling
she doesn't just say that's cringe. She goes, cringe.
Based.
That's the way you do it.
That's
you know how
awesome.
hard it is to be intimate with somebody when they fucking say something that reminds you of Destiny?
That's based, dude. I'm there all the way. I'm always with you at all points in time.
Yeah. It's a weird feeling to just get naked with somebody and they're like cringe. And you're like,
Cringe.
why is this?
Careful, man. I've been doing that because I'm inspired by low tier gods. So I've been talking about BBC a lot. So if she starts throwing that out at you.
Really? You been
Probably
talking about
government.
BBC now too?
Yeah.
Hey, listen.
I can't. Damn.
I really do feel bad for him. That's,
He's like, right?
I think so. I don't think there's a way he can get his channel back.
Has he started streaming on Rumble yet?
Honestly, I'd probably find it pretty demoralizing if possible. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, but still. But what's more demoralizing? Like going to Rumble, or like I'm gonna go work like a normal job now after doing content creation online for 10 years?
If I got permabanned, I'm gonna keep it a stack with you, bro. I'm probably done.
Even if it meant going back to like traditional work.
Well, I'm financially set up right now.
Well,
where
yeah.
I could probably do something else, and I could just do stand up or whatever.
Sure, but like for something that's not, right? That's like the hard thing, I think.
Yeah. I don't know, man. That's not like. I think we're on the outside, so we, or maybe you're just like fuck it, next thing, and you can shut off. I know for me, if I invested this much, I've been doing this YouTube like just as long as he has. Actually, I've done it longer, and if I lost this whole thing, like I would definitely be bummed out about it. But I don't know if I could just try to restart up. You wouldn't be restarting from zero, but I don't know, man. I think I understand what you're saying about just might as well go to the next spot and get it going. But I think if you've come this far after this long and you finally get some success, and now you got to go back to some shittier platform like Rumble,
Yeah.
where you know 80% of your fan base is not going to follow you.
Reporting the target position.
Like, how do you come back? He's banned off of Twitch, right?
Think so, but I don't know. But yeah, it's rough.
It makes you wonder. You don't think you're coming up next?
No, I tend to stay pretty clear of like YouTube stuff.
So I mean, he did too.
Yeah, that's true.
He did too. Think about it. 8 years.
Well, but I know, at least at the very least, I know that one rule. I know that one. That like if you get banned on one platform,
Animation?
you can't stream on another. Yeah, because that's really what fucked them, right?
Yeah. I mean, you can't even upload on one of the channels. I'm actually curious, yo. What about the fan channels? How do you prove that that's not yours?
I have no idea, actually.
That would piss me off. If some fucking Abba and Preach clone or someone else was uploading shit and they dinged me for that. I don't know. Because you got a bunch of
I was gonna say, it would. I wonder if it would it piss you off if like you got permabanned, but there were fan channels of yours that was still able to make money off your content. That'd be kind of weird.
Hey man, and then all these fan channels be able to make cash. Like I don't mind, but
If you were permabanned though, you'd feel the same way. I feel like I'd be a little salty.
if I was permabanned, I don't think I wouldn't be able to open YouTube. Honestly, like I don't know. If I got permabanned, I'd be so heartbroken. I'd be like, all right, keep it pushing. And then after a week, I'd just get back to work doing something else.
Yeah.
What would you do if you got permabanned? You go into Rumble?
Depends how much money I have. Well, I'd have to right now because we just got a lease on this expensive fucking apartment in Miami Beach. But no, I'd probably, I'd just retire to be done. Fuck it. Put in my time.
You'd be done?
Yeah, probably. Because you've like built, you spent your whole life building this shit.
President Fit?
What'd you say? Oh yeah, he did, but it was over like that Tory, like some court case shit that I didn't know anything about, so I couldn't be too invested in it. It was funny watching him getting like 3v1 by Fresh and Fit, because Myron and Walter or whatever were there. Ack was there, and they were all shouting at Lausanne. I think Fresh called
Tory
him.
Lanez found guilty. Okay, so they found him guilty. Good.
Damn.
Was he guilty? I actually didn't really.
I didn't follow enough.
I'm not gonna lie, man. When I heard the bar, dance, bitch, dance, and he started shooting, that shit's kind of funny.
I don't know. I have no idea. I can't comment on any of it. I have no idea how much of it is true or not true. So.
I mean, I don't know if that shit is true. But... that shit had me laughing when I heard that. That's a crazy way to shoot at people. Did Hassan do well in that debate?
No, I don't think so.
You give him a compliment? You gonna tell the truth?
No, the problem. I mean, I'll say it seemed like he might have been in the right, but I didn't follow the facts case enough to know. But the problem was that he tried to do a debate and he didn't know the facts of the case, and these guys all knew the facts of the case. So even if they were being bad faith or misrepresenting it, Hassan would have never been able to call him out on it. So it was a mistake for him to. It was a mistake for him to ever enter that debate. I don't know why he thought he could have done that or should have done that.
The ship is on fire.
DJ academics. Oh, all right.
Yeah.
Well, listen, man, I got nothing else. Anything else you want to bring up?
No, I think I'm good for now.
Listen, I'll let you wrap up your stream, do your thing.
Yeah.
And, you have a good night. Listen, if anybody else is about to get banned, I think we need to maybe do something about these bans so people know these rules. Because that's exactly what Sneeko got banned for. Which is the ban.
The ban evasion shit? Yeah, it's so lame. Yeah.
I don't think Sneeko would have lost his channel if he didn't start uploading. I'm pretty sure they would have tried to find something about it, maybe. But that's what they ended up dinging him on, for him uploading on a different thing. I don't know. Man, you know, I won't lie. I won't lie. Give me a second. I won't lie. It made me pretty sad. So I understand how much he worked for this shit, and just it being gone like that, either because he didn't know the rules or like didn't know, like, you know, you got to be careful from this part.
Are you talking about Sneeko or Low Tier God?
Low Tier God at the moment, and it's just like, you know what sucks is even though I got like close to 2 million subs, there's like literally nothing I can do.
Yeah.
And so he's coming to me for help, and I wish I could. You know, like it sucks to be like, oh man, you can't do ban evasion like that shit don't staff you. Best you can do is go on Twitter and start yelling, which isn't comforting at all. You know,
Yeah.
I wish I could tell them like, I got people everywhere. I just don't. And so, yeah, it's weird feeling like you're a quote unquote big channel, but you have no means to like really enact any change when it comes to the platform itself, or like even getting someone's ear to be able to hear this shit. And so yeah, it just had me thinking like, what can anybody do?
Yeah.
And I was wondering what you thought about it.
Yeah, no, that sucks. I feel the same way. Like I told him like, oh, make a tweet, see if they respond there. Yeah, and then he asked me to reach out to you, and I was like, you can. Here's this thing, because I don't want to ask favors, because I don't know how you feel about him. So, but yeah.
I mean, I would have been. I don't want to see anybody in the Sig channel. So.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, but he's like a relatively controversial figure, so I don't know if like I message you and it's like it turns into some weird shit where you're like, no, I fucking hate this guy. I'm like, okay.
You want me to help this guy who hates black women
Or something or anything, yeah, just.
No, I'm not that petty. I mean, listen, if there was even a means for us to get Sneako's account back, I think that'd be a good thing. At the end of the day, I think all these channels being deleted, I think overwhelmingly, just from my personal experience, is a bad thing.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I don't think this is going to change anything, but I wonder if there's like a drop in the bucket of something larger. I don't know. Just seeing all these channels get banned so easily, I don't think it really affects the general ecosystem, because I think Low Tier God was like for a rather niche audience, but I don't know.
Yeah, but seeing like Sneeko getting banned and like, is Tate is gone from YouTube, right?
Tate's been gone from YouTube. I feel like he's done pretty well for himself, still while being off YouTube.
I don't know follow the rules unless you get to a time when you change.
How did it make you feel, this whole thing going on?
With Low Tier God?
It's like a good girl.
Yeah, like I said, I mean, I think it's really sad.
Where's she?
It's yeah, he's kind of like a legend. I don't know if you're familiar with his history, or like I think the thing that sucks is it's always sad to me when. Did you ever see the movie American History X?
Is that the curb stomping guy?
Yeah, the guy does like all the right things to redeem himself, and he gets his brother, he pulls him out of the bad shit, but he still gets shot at the end, right? Yeah, those things are always, I think, the saddest, is when people do like these big turnarounds, and then they still end up getting fucked, you know? Like, Low Tier God was really, 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 really edgy a long time ago, and for the most part, he's done a good job at like cleaning his stuff up and like changing the way that he was going to do content. Like, he did a good job at changing shit, but then he still gets like fucked at the end, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah, which that just sucks. That's really sad.
It's not the stuff that you would have expected him to get ruined.
Yeah, that too. Yeah. Yeah. There was a friend I had that the In Control guy it was a guy who was like super fat, obese maybe his entire life, and then he got a he was in a plane and he got like, do you know what DVT is? Like a deep vein thrombosis. He got like a clot in his leg or something, and he was like, "Oh shit, I need to lose weight." And then he went on like a massive cleanup act, and I think he lost like 120 pounds. He was like a different. He lost like a whole human being, and then he got a blood clot later and died anyway. And it's like, oh well, damn.
Damn, that's a depressing ass story.
Yeah, it sucks. Like, okay.
Dude, oh man. What do you think we can do, if anything? If you were to take the same approach you took to like canvassing or whatever, what do you think is something tangible that we can do?
Yeah, the problem is I don't think we can do anything. You have to get like all the big creators to like come together and want to do something. But the reality is that like the largest creators are like family-friendly creators, and they don't really worry about stuff like this. Like you know, like Linus Tech Tips is never getting banned from YouTube, so he's not going to join any type of like, oh, like let's help everybody kind of movement, you know. None of these guys are really getting banned from YouTube, so it's kind of a niche, even if it doesn't feel like a niche thing. Like in the grand scheme of things, even people like Sneeko is like kind of a niche creator. I'm still obviously like a niche creator, like yeah.
And the reason why we use this is because of the fact that, you know, I mean, if YouTube was just a bunch of commentary shit, I'm pretty sure there wouldn't be much advertising. Like,
yeah, probably, yeah.
There's no reason for them to come to this stuff.
About that,
and so if you know that,
I mean,
yeah, we don't really matter to them.
Yeah, you'd have to get the really big guys on board with doing stuff, but they probably never would. So yeah.
So I guess it's just a matter of making all the rules super clear, so that everybody who is in this realm understands and knows not to cross those lines.
Yeah, just have to learn how to play the game, as annoying as it is. Learn how to beat the Matrix by being a part of it.
Like a real bot.
Yeah. But the best bot you can be, you know.
Yeah. You know what's crazy is like this next year is going to be a really good year. At least financially, just because like some really good sponsorship opportunities that came through the door, which is kind of great because that means I don't have to rely on YouTube for income, which I'm very, very grateful for. I don't know if you're like this. I don't know if this is like a poor people's thing, but I always think my YouTube channel is going to get deleted at any point.
Yeah.
Especially when I do. I really like. It's why I don't touch my money. Like I just don't believe any of this is real. So I'm always thinking like this is supposed to go away at some point. Do you think like that at all, or have you been so ingratiated with this for so long that you think this is the normal in sports?
No, I definitely plan around that. That's why like I had my websites when my main Twitch got banned. I could move to YouTube, and that's why I've like saved a ton of money because I'm kind of figuring at some point. Probably gonna get banned. YouTube seems pretty safe right now, but it feels like at some point it's gonna happen. I always knew it was kind of coming with Twitch, so yeah. Yeah.
Do you remember that? Do you remember that guy? It's like Adam something or whatever. He had his own website. This is back in like 2005 or something, or maybe 2000. Actually, no. This is more like 2012. Essentially, he was like posting people's nudes online, or people would like send him their nudes, and then he would basically do like some kind of revenge porn.
Maybe I might have heard.
Yeah, he had a whole Netflix show after it. Maybe.
Okay, what about him?
So he had this website that like it drove people from Facebook to his website, and his website had huge amounts of traffic. And not to say like you should be able to do something fucked up like that. But do you ever consider? You know, I know you said you'd retire if you ever got permabanned from YouTube. But you ever consider going off of these own platforms and run your own cozy like TV thing?
I don't know, man. Because you'd be taking such a huge step down in influence, a huge step down in income, and then you'd be working like twice as hard.
Discoverability as well.
And what?
And discoverability.
Yeah, like everything. You'd be stepping down like in every way. So I don't know if I'd do it. Yeah. Because like, yeah, because like you're working harder, everything is getting harder, and like everything's getting worse. Like it just feels like shit. But I don't know. Maybe who knows? Depends on how much I like streaming or needed more money. I guess I don't know.
Bro, this is such a fucking sad day. There's no solutions. There's no way around this. We just
we just have to
exist. You gotta sit down and take it. You feel me?
Yeah. This is what they felt like in World War II, watching their friends getting killed right next to them on the beaches. You know, you just gotta keep pushing forward. That's exactly what we're feeling right now.
That's the most terminally online thing I've ever heard.
Thanks. Well.
Man, I don't know. I'm glad we got to talk, man, and hopefully, 2023 is not the year that you get per-banned or myself. But,
I hope so.
Who do you think is gonna get per-banned between me and you? You or me first?
Who's gonna get per? I feel like I'm way more at risk, but.
You think it's you?
Yeah, I think so.
I agree. You're a white man. I think, but I mean, these minorities have been getting clipped much faster than you. I mean, they got low tier God, and he wasn't even edgy anymore.
Yeah. I don't know what he got. Oh yeah, because he got banned for such a bullshit thing. He was playing like World Star, and apparently there was like a kid on the screen that got stabbed or some shit. He didn't even know it was like a minor.
Actually, do you want to do something with Courtney in regards to this topic, or like have a collaboration where you could set up some questions to ask the other ladies? What do you think?
Yeah, if she wants to, that would be fucking amazing. Yeah.
Oh, mate.
Yeah. Okay. I'll hit up Courtney. I'll try to DM her and see if she responds.
Crazy like Riz.
How to escape mainland China has been a hot topic recently. Political turmoil and economic recession have made local Chinese want to run away from their country through different channels. Reports across the internet have been sharing stories of Chinese who are desperate to flee China. A Chinese man named Wang Chuin told CNN in a video that it was worth it no matter how much he suffered. This man ran a boba tea shop. However, he desperately left his family behind in China, hoping to bring them to his dreamland, United States, one day. According to the media, he used boats, buses, motorcycles, and even walked before illegally entering the U.S. In addition, the BBC reported a story about a 34-year-old Jiangxi man named Sun Jinkai on December 22nd. He began looking for a way to leave China to give his wife and 3 children a better future, believing China was going backward. Sun Jinkai had the idea of smuggling to the United States after knowing how a young woman walked through the tropical rainforest of Central America and then went north to the U.S.-Mexico border. This woman shared her experience with Sun Jinkai on WeChat. The whole family boarded in Ecuador in August. Then they embarked on a long and dangerous journey northward.
Man,
The
they're
smuggling
coming
route begins with a walk through the Darien
launch
Gap between
something,
Panama's
yeah.
two provinces. This is an undeveloped tropical rainforest that is frequently haunted by armed bandits and drug cartels. The family trekked through the canyon for many days and finally arrived in California, USA. Their journey took 3 months from China to the United States. According to CNN, China's COVID policy, authoritarianism, and the stifling education in schools put Wang over the edge. Deng Jinkai and Wang Tuan both agree that China is going backward.
经过这大概就7、8年的时间吧，车到的是越来越快了，也马上也要稳定，我觉得看不到任何希望。
In another story, 30-year-old Wen Tao flew to Ecuador via Europe. According to Chinese media, Xi Wang Zhishang, Wen Tao, and 3 other Chinese men also traveled through the Darien Canyon to California, USA. The entire journey cost $8,000, which was most of his savings. VOA Chinese cites statistics from the Panamanian government. At least 1,300 Chinese traveled northward through the Darien Canyon this year. It is 10 times higher than previous figures from the last 10 years. The respondent Millie helped hundreds of Chinese immigrate to Ecuador, including the super rich and middle class. As she shared with the VOA Chinese, 80 to 90% of people who leave China do so because they fear living in that society.
All stations, concentrate fire on the target.
In frigid temperatures on Christmas Eve, 3 buses of migrant families dropped outside the residence of Vice President Kamala Harris. Aid workers say more than 100 people,
Torpedoes to
including
port.
children, were left outside. Many unprepared, wearing t-shirts in the record-breaking cold.
It's been so cold that people, I step outside and they say, please, let me in, even if there's standing room only. I don't even have to find a place on the floor to sleep as long as you just allow me to come in.
The White House immediately blaming Texas Governor Greg Abbott,
Problem
saying
solved,
in a
sir.
statement he abandoned children on the side of the road in below freezing temperatures on Christmas Eve. This was a cruel, dangerous, and shameful stunt. Abbott's office did not respond to a request for comment. Previously said Texas had bused more than 15,000 migrants since April to Washington, D.C., New York, Philadelphia, and Chicago. It's part of a growing political battle as Republican-led states protest the Biden
Torpedoes to
administration's
port.
attempt to end a Trump-era policy known as
ship is
Title
on fire.
42.
Torpedoes to
Allows
port.
migrants to be expelled without being able to claim asylum.
Torpedoes to port.
We're waiting for Title 42 to be nullified, says this man from Honduras. The fate of that policy is now in the hands of the Supreme Court. As the court weighs a decision, the Department of Homeland Security is out with a statement saying migrants should not attempt to cross the border in the cold, warning of the risk of deportation. Now, it's not clear when the Supreme Court might issue its decision on Title 42. Elizabeth Schulze, ABC News, Washington.
Hull breach. We're taking on water quickly. Problem solved, sir. The ship is on fire. All stations requesting fire on the designated target.
All right, this is CV 2022 095403. This is Lake versus Hobbs et al.
No, really trying to get me, huh? I forgot I'm a Yamato.
Cross-examination, this would be my misconduct.
My face when I'm getting attacked by aircraft carrier. But I'm a Yamato.
Hey, Merry Christmas. You're being a bot when you're saying this.
What's bad about what I'm saying?
Elon Musk is making objectively bad decisions and objectively bad statements when he's going on and talking publicly. If you want to talk about his statements, or if you want to
What's an objectively bad statement? What?
multiple ones. When he goes on and
name one.
Sure.
Name one.
When he goes on to a Twitter space and he's saying things like, Twitter needs a full rewrite. And somebody's like, what do you mean? What's wrong with the stack, bro? And he's like, who are you? And he starts crying. Do you want to watch a clip together?
What clip?
What's so abnormal about this stack versus every other large-scale system on the planet, buddy? Come on, give it to me.
All right, so first off...
Amazing. Wow, you're a jackass.
Okay. All
right, no. I got no credibility here, buddy. I got no idea.
First off...
He's not taking hits for free speech. He's taking hits to act like a crybaby, like a little emotional snowflake. He even...
Merry Christmas, Destiny.
Hey, Merry Christmas. How you doing? What?
You sound weird.
Oh, well. How you doing, buddy?
I'm good. What you up to? How's your new place?
I mean, it's a beautiful place, but I don't have internet yet, so I'm like living on hotspots. It's pretty annoying.
Yeah, their subreddit's pretty mad at you for that.
Yeah, you know, it is what it is. What's up?
Where's Melina? Nothing's up, man. I'm just saying hi to my friend, man. I wish something got to be up. I got to debate. I got to yell at you all the time about the vaccine.
Yep, basically. She was in New York, and now she's on her way back. I think in a couple hours.
What was you up to? You're playing the factory game?
Yeah. We were gonna do Christmas in New York, but then I don't have internet here, and I've just moved, and I spent a fuck ton of money earlier this month, so I just wanted to stay home and work. So we're just gonna celebrate Christmas in Miami instead.
You're rich though. You're a millionaire and shit.
Yeah, but because I'm frugal with my money though. I don't like to. I spend a ton of money. I spent a ton of money recently. Okay.
What'd you get me for Christmas?
I got you a giant yay sweatshirt.
Balenciaga?
Yeah, it's got a mask over it and everything. Bunch of how are you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm streaming on Rumble, where a lot of people in my chat are saying W Hitler. We're just W911. A lot of people they're saying you know, we have very polar opposite chats now. I recommend at any point just look at my Rumble chat. It would make you laugh.
Damn. Do you have to sign in to see the chat?
Yeah. And you don't have a Rumble, right?
I have a locals account. I don't think I have a Rumble account.
Well, hold on. Let me call you back without the camera. My shit's fucked up.
Yeah, mine is. Okay, fine. I can't show the thing, sorry.
You hear me?
Yeah.
Huh. How you feeling though? What's your New Year's resolutions?
Beating Factorio. It's the most important thing in my life right now.
Then what are you gonna do after? Like you got no other games to play?
I'm probably gonna focus more on like politics stuff, because I kind of neglected a little bit of that the past couple months. So.
Yeah, you were very drama heavy for a while. It was going back and forth about this, and it was like a Netflix murder documentary. Hearing all your, what do they call it? Your orbiters get in fights.
Yeah, going to war with each other. It's pretty interesting.
What happened to the philosophy too? When I first talked to you, you were talking about, oh, I'm big into philosophy, and then everything was all about drama for the most part, or political stuff. I didn't hear any of your philosophy takes. Chat, I fixed the echo. Relax.
I mean, the philosophy usually will end up going hand in hand with like the political issues, right? Things like ethics and everything will kind of go. Yeah, we'll usually come with political stuff. But if I haven't been doing much politics, we're probably not doing much philosophy.
You don't get bored of gaming all the time? You're like, really, Factorio's the #1 thing? I can't believe that was the #1 thing you just said.
What was the #1 thing I just said?
You said your New Year's resolution was beating the factory game.
Oh, well, I want to beat it because I want to be done with it. So that I can like focus on other shit. But I've sunk so much time into this now, I can't just like quit.
What's next?
Well, like I said, it's going to be a heavier focus on politics and shit in the next year for sure. Because I neglected it a bit this year. Shit got like really crazy in the last half of this year with Keffels and you and Fuentes and Mr. Girl and fucking Lav and like everything just kind of got...
Well, that is politics. Me, Fuentes, and a lot of that stuff, even Keffels to an extent, is politically involved stuff. Me and Fuentes especially, we went from doing these panels and doing these debates to actually like working on a campaign.
Yeah. When I say politics, I mean like doing like big like digging into like policy, like doing more like historical research, like that kind of stuff. So like this, for instance, what I did with Ukraine this year was probably my favorite stuff that I did, because that involved like a whole bunch of like historical analysis. It got me some very good conversations that we're interested to have. It's like a modern day like relevant issue. So like that was like a fun thing for me. Yeah.
How's your kid?
Good. I just got back from Nebraska like I think 4 days ago. We hung out, did stuff, played around, ran around. Oh yeah, I saw you made a good Destiny's Child joke, and he liked my hair, so that was good.
You like your blue hair?
Yeah.
That's good. Why don't you dye his hair blue?
No, people with dyed hair are losers. Okay, I don't need my kid to be a loser at 11 years old.
Wait, you're calling yourself a loser?
I dyed it for. Listen, I get paid to dye my hair. It's different. Okay.
How much you get paid?
Well, it was for charity technically, so.
People in your chat are saying, Sneaker, what's your new YouTube burner account? I don't. Every time I make a burner account, I get banned. You know what's the annoying part about getting banned, Destiny? I can't even, like, read chat or comments. I have to sign into friends' accounts. I have to do all this. Why are you still not unbanned on YouTube? I mean, on Twitter.
Because I'm left-leaning. I think Elon only wants to unban the Nazis and shit.
Are you? Come on.
No, I think so. I don't think I'm ever getting unbanned from Twitter. Because I would have gone unbanned by now if I was ever going to. Because in my mind, when he did his announcement for unbans, I feel like I'm like the perfect candidate for that. Like, oh, like they're banning. If people like me are getting permabanned, the policy has probably like been a little silly in the past. But I haven't gotten unbanned yet, and all these other like far right like accounts have gotten unbanned from years ago. So I think he doesn't really care about that kind of stuff. He's probably more interested in like conservative type figures.
Okay, but Alex Jones is still banned. And also, I didn't get it for free.
Alex Jones is banned, but I think that's because he's looking after his bottom line. He's just scared about like copyright shit or not copyright shit or like defamation shit or whatever crazy shit Alex Jones is saying.
But I didn't get mine back for free. I don't know if you're calling me a Nazi, but I had to. Someone paid $20,000 to get me unbanned.
Who paid $20,000 to get you unbanned?
Do you know Iman Gaji? I saw you reacted to Hamza recently. He's pretty similar, but more finance oriented. The guy's extremely rich, like selling courses and stuff like that. He has a good YouTube channel. He got me unbanned. He just did it. I didn't even ask him.
Wait, did he really charge you that much?
I didn't pay. He just paid it. And he said, "There you go."
Interesting.
You could do that too. I mean, I know you just said you've been spending a lot of money.
No, I've looked through those avenues. Like sometimes you can pay for services like that on like Facebook or Instagram or stuff like that. But that's only if your account got banned for really silly stuff. But I don't know. Yeah, you can't. You're not gonna get any account. Otherwise, you would just get your YouTube unbanned, right?
Yeah, well, what's your predictions with that? I've been seeing Mr. Beast and Elon talking about starting a video sharing platform on Twitter. Do you think that that's something possible in 2023? That gives me hope that Rumble won't be my only possibility.
If I was you, I would invest and build in Rumble. I don't think Twitter.
No, I am. I'm completely investing in Rumble.
I would have no hope for Twitter. I think Twitter he's running that shit into the ground, like speed running it into the ground. I can't believe
what?
He's insanely.
Twitter's never been better. Twitter has never been more fun. It's never been more exciting. I've never spent this much time on it. In my opinion, I've been on Twitter for years. This is the best it's ever been, and people are starting to blow up there.
That's just absolutely not true. The whole checkmark thing was a fiasco. That product got like delivered, canceled, redelivered. He's like introduced like a second checkmark thing. I don't think that product rolled out like they wanted it to. I know they've had issues with advertisers pulling out. I don't know if they've all come back or not yet. You've got people at the shareholders at Tesla that are asking them to step down because that company is starting to slide in value. Musk was saying he was looking for other investors or to sell Twitter again. He's dumping like billions of dollars in stocks to pay off like the interest on his like. I don't think Twitter is going well at all. I don't think so.
You haven't been spending more time on it. Maybe what you're saying is everything I hear from the leftists, and this is like making me want to get into a debate about like the type of information that you ingest because you're supposed to think that Twitter sucks. Like all the leftists are saying that.
Hold on, stop. Wait, stop. You're being a bot right now. Okay, this has nothing.
You're being a bot. You're saying all the bot leftist stuff.
No. You're being a bot because you think this is like a leftist or conservative thing. I'm just interested in Twitter from like a business point of view. That's the only analysis I'm doing. I'm not talking about like he's not being liberal enough or progressive enough or any of that shit. I'm not because if that was the case, then I would here are the bot talking points. Okay, I'd be saying like Twitter's gotten a whole lot worse because there's way more like racism and sexism on Twitter these days. There's a lot of people that are being like really hateful. Like that's what I'd be saying. But that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that one of the big product rollouts that he did, his expectations were way too high. He wanted to be getting 50% of the revenue of the company coming from subscriptions. That was insane. The idea behind that was a big mistake. That rollout didn't go as well as planned, right? He's laid off of workers, but he's still having to do, like all of these things I'm pointing. These are objective business facts, right? If it hurts your feelings to hear that, I'm sorry, but this is not like leftist talking points.
Now you're making a complete argument that I'm not saying it doesn't hurt my feelings, but it
no.
For
the fact that you digest. No, I'm just but if you want to disagree with something I'm saying, then feel free to submit like a disagreement. But when you just go, oh, you're just giving leftist talking points, that's a bot talking point, right?
Well, everybody on the left that I see on Twitter, all the leftists hate Twitter and they have different justifications for why. You're saying the business thing, they're saying that the advertisers are leaving, but everybody on the right is saying that the advertisers aren't actually leaving. The reason he added views is to show the fact that Twitter has never had more engagement than ever. It seems like it has a good opportunity for 2023 to be the new like mainstream platform for free speech. If you actually look at it, the Instagram stock is going down. People don't really go in Meta. Instagram doesn't have the same feel as it does anymore. In my world,
hold on. Wait. What are you talking about?
Based,
First of all, wait, hold on. Nothing you're saying is true. Okay, Meta stock is up 6 points over the past month. So I don't know what you mean when you're saying like Meta stock is going down. Like I don't know what the fuck Twitter's current valuation is at. Like what do you mean? Where are you getting your news from? Twitter lost 50 of its top 100 advertisers since Elon Musk took over. That's from November 25th of 2022. So that's in the last month. I don't know where your info is coming from. I'm giving you facts.
So why you think Elon Musk wants to step down as a CEO?
Probably because he's a disaster running the company. He's insanely incompetent. Yeah.
What makes you think he's incompetent?
Because he doesn't know how to run the company. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's
getting rid of all those employees was the biggest W I've seen from a CEO.
You have no idea if that was a W or not.
Twitter's just better. Twitter is objectively more interesting now.
How? It's not, but it's not more interesting. This is okay. Your issue is that you can't look at this like a business. You're looking at this like a child's playground, right? When you say that Twitter is better, you're thinking of the posts that you see on Twitter, and that's fun. I'm thinking about Twitter. I'm evaluating from a business point of view. From a business point of view, every decision Elon has made has been failure after failure after failure, right? Now it might be better because people are having like fun conversations and saying wild shit on Twitter. I agree with that. There's a lot of crazy shit on Twitter, people talking now and shit, and that's
the best
fun.
Basis. That's the best metric of how it's going to be successful. Is that the Twitter stock isn't actually down, is it?
Well. You can't really say that. Sorry. When we talk about the price of a stock, usually we're talking about what people are willing to buy and sell a share of a company for that's listed on a public exchange. But when Elon Musk bought Twitter, he took the company off the public exchanges, so it's not a publicly traded company anymore. It's a privately traded company. So there isn't like a price for the stock anymore. Does that make sense? There is no Twitter stock.
Is it possible that all the information that you're seeing is because the mainstream platforms are afraid of losing their spot where everybody goes for news, and now people are going to go to Twitter for news, and so they need to paint this picture that it's losing and that it's bad and everything. Basically, if everybody that I'm seeing, everybody I talk to, everybody that I'm interested in is saying that Twitter is interesting, that should be the best metric to determine whether or not it's going to be successful. If it's objectively more fun to go on. Say, if CNN, MSNBC, all these things are saying Elon's failing, that's because they feel threatened because people are not getting their news from CNN anymore. They're going to Twitter.
Okay, I can't. Yeah, I don't know how to argue with you. Like, if you're telling me, like, well, my friends are saying it's better, that's fine. I'm just arguing from a business point of view.
That's not what I'm saying.
That's what you're saying. You're saying it's more interesting, it's more entertaining. That might be true, but I'm just saying from a business point of view, Elon personally is making a lot of spooky decisions that might even be rattling like Tesla stock. It seems like he's not competently running Twitter as a platform very well. It might be more interesting right now just because like people are having fun conversations on it, but from a business point of view, it doesn't seem like he's doing too hot. That's the.
Hey, you said that point a couple times, but when you look
like Elon wasn't Elon.
Wait. When you look up Twitter stock right now, you see ABC News, Electric, CNN, all they're saying Twitter's failing. They are probably just trying to paint a narrative that Twitter's down so that people think that Twitter's bad, when in reality, that can't be the case. Here's
the thing.
Their best interest to make Twitter seem bad, especially if somebody who's for free speech is taken over. They need to make Twitter seem bad.
Okay, I don't know how to argue with you. Like, you're just giving me your feelings, right? All I can speak are numbers and facts, okay? Like, Tesla as a company
Your numbers and facts are coming from where?
From the markets. Tesla as a company has lost 2/3 of its value in the past year. That's really bad. Elon Musk is selling off tens of billions of dollars.
You just said that the Twitter stock has changed, and now you're saying that it's
No.
devalued?
Tesla. The other company that Elon Musk owns, the one that he's like getting all of his money from to pay for the debt from his Twitter loans that he leveraged all of his stock to take out loans to buy, right? That company's losing a ton of money. The shareholders over there are very upset because a lot of these companies float or trade on like Elon Musk's reputation that he's running into the ground running Twitter, right? These are
That's
real
why
things.
He wants to step down as CEO.
Yeah,
so he can pass
possibly.
it off to
But
somebody
also
else.
like
Twitter's going to do well in 2023. He'll probably step down and pass it off to somebody else. His reputation is bad because mainstream news and people like you, they want to paint it like he's a bad person.
No, bro, you're bot. Don't be a bot. You're being a bot when you're saying this.
What's bot about what I'm saying?
Elon Musk is making objectively bad decisions and objectively bad statements when he's going on and talking publicly. If you want to talk about his statements, or if you want to
what's an objectively bad statement? What?
Multiple ones. When he goes on and
name one.
Sure.
Name one.
When he goes on to a Twitter space and he's saying things like Twitter needs a full rewrite. And somebody's like, what do you mean? What's wrong with the stack, bro? And he's like, who are you? And he starts crying. When Elon comes out and he says things like, can advertisers really pull out of my platform? That seems illegal. Maybe I should sue them. These are insane statements. When people come out and Elon is being asked about like, hey, do you offer targeted advertising on Twitter? And he's saying, well, I don't think that's possible. These are stupid statements made by a guy that has no f***ing idea what platform he's running. Those are three objectively, like, factual statements that he has made that are objectively, factually stupid, right? And that's on top of all the other business stuff I listed earlier. These are not like left-wing, right-wing, blah, blah, apologies problems. These are just bad things that Elon's doing. He's incompetent when it comes to running this company.
Twitter's fun, though. Maybe you're just mad because you're not on ban yet.
I'm not mad. It is fun.
You're pretty heated.
Okay, never mind. You're emotional, and you don't like to when I attack Elon.
I'm emotional?
Yes.
I'm emotional right
I just
now?
gave you fact after fact after fact, and you go, well, I think that you're just
you
upset.
paused the factory game to go yell about facts.
Because I'm giving you all of my attention.
It's not a
Okay.
fact that it's stupid because he's talking in a different way about advertisers based on your opinion. That's not a fact.
No, it's a fact that he's stupid because he doesn't know about targeted advertising when that's been the norm for the better part of the last decade at least. Go buy advertisements on Facebook right now or on AdSense right now. Of course you can target users. Anybody that's ever bought a single ad in their life knows that. Or it's not stupid to criticize him for everything that he says related to programming or dev work is the stupidest shit ever. This guy discovers like 2 errors in code and he's like tweeting out like, oh, we just made the full Twitter mobile app like 15 milliseconds more responsive. I was like, bro, what are you even talking about? Like, shut the up. Like, everything that he says, like, reeks of like a child that's like running around in a factory and he's excited to discover that he can like, I don't know, like mop up a corner or something. He's just dumb. He's just stupid when it comes to everything having to do with this company. He hasn't said anything insightful. He's wasting a ton of money. He set like a whole pile of cash on fire. The sale was so bad. He was like pleading to the courts to let him out of his deal that he agreed to sign on to. He knew that when he bought the company, he overvalued it massively. People that own stock like made out like bandits. What did he buy it for? Was it $47 a share or something? When that thing was trading for what, like 35 or 30 over the counter? Like, it was insane. Everything about the deal.
That's a great investment. Being able to take over mainstream news and being able to own public discourse is something that's going to be really valuable in the long term.
Okay.
People don't trust the news at all anymore. More people are going to Twitter to digest the news than they have ever been compared to mainstream news. And of course, right now, the bot talking point, the leftists are going to be saying like, oh, it's bad. Elon's a child. They're going to want to insult him. Ethan Decline will get on the stage and complain about Elon, say, fuck you. But in the long term, decentralizing information and bringing it back to Twitter and the public square is a better investment for the future. I think a lot of what you're saying is stuff that the leftist news wants you to think because they don't like you.
No, hold on. Hold on. Okay, hold on. I watched so many of your old videos. This is the only reason why I've entertained this conversation so much. 'Cause I know that there's like an intelligent young man inside that brain of yours, okay? This is like the 3rd time you've said leftist bot talking points. All I've given you are straight raw facts. I have not given you a single, I haven't mentioned hate speech or racism or any political statement whatsoever. Everything I'm giving you is facts. And you keep running behind this like, lefty talking points. Well, you're giving me the lefty talking points.
You saying it's a stupid point. You saying Elon's stupid is not a fact.
It is when he's making stupid statements. Do you disagree that any of the statements that I just referenced are stupid? Do you want to go over any of them?
I'm not sure if those are stupid.
Okay, I'm telling you they are. You can bring in a programmer, you can bring in somebody that works in advertising, you can bring in like anybody else in the industry and ask them, and they'll tell you the same thing. Like, Elon is like a laughing stock right now for everything having to do with Twitter. Like, the people at Tesla want to kick him.
He's a laughing stock for
business people. Politics, bro. It's not about my people. The people at Tesla want to kick him off the board there too because he's nosediving the value of his company. There are people that aren't buying cars now because of how insane he is on Twitter.
It's an electric car company. It's marketed towards leftists who care about climate change and a bunch of that psyop bullshit. They're like electric cars. It's different because Elon used to represent leftist ideas and now he's seen as this right-wing martyr.
Okay,
It's
well
not-
let's say
it's
that
not
I
about
even
business.
let's say that I grant all of that to you. Okay, if your primary market is leftists, then maybe you should be careful if that's the main company that you're borrowing against to buy another company in order to keep your shit afloat. Maybe you should shut the up then and not lose your primary customer. If I were to grant that, that would be like he still has like better decisions to make than going onto Twitter and acting like an insane lunatic and then losing his primary customer base for his other company.
Insane lunatic because he's talking about targeted advertisers is a giant stretch.
Insane lunatic because all of these Twitter leaks have been a joke, because all of the statements that he's making about like voting for conservatives and that's the most important thing to do, and Fauci needs to go to jail over the vaccines, all of these statements are unfounded conspiratorial nonsense. He doesn't need to be making them, and he shouldn't be, because he's the CEO of, he's representing a lot of different companies when he's out there. How would you feel if you'd invested 6, 7, 8 figures into some of these companies, and now the cheerleaders out there for the company, the CEO acting like a clown, tanking the value of your investment?
All these Tesla people, I think Elon genuinely cares about the future of free speech, and this is more important. It's more important for
If
the
he
long
cares
term.
about the future of free speech,
he's taking sacrifices right now for the business and for
no,
the,
he's not.
for people
He's
like
taking
you.
sacrifices
He is.
for being an idiot, for retweeting bullshit about like Pelosi's husband. Like, what the f is he doing? He's not even like he's not taking hits for free speech. He's taking hits to act like a crybaby, like a little emotional snowflake. He even sounds like an autistic snowflake. Bro, if there was a leftist with Elon's voice and mannerisms, yeah. Hey guys, we're gonna talk about Twitter today, and what I'm gonna do. Bro, if Elon Musk was a leftist, you guys would be making fun of his appearance and his voice and his mannerisms constantly, okay? The guy talks and looks like a rat.
Ooh. Oh. Okay. I like Elon though.
Of course you do, sure.
Well, let's have this conversation again in 6 months. I think Twitter is going to take over, and Metastock, people in my chat are saying Metastock has been down 65% this year.
Over the year, yeah, Metastock has gone down a ton. But you mentioned over the past month or two, I think is what you said. And over the past month, it's been up 6 points because obviously Elon is Zuckerberg is cutting a lot of the fucking cutting a lot of the VR shit out.
Well, Merry Christmas, Destiny.
Yeah, I love you,
Always
buddy.
catching
Wait,
up.
do you want to watch? Do you want to watch a clip together?
What clip?
Hold on. Make Sneeko watch the Twitter space clip of Elon muting text and asking engineers who they are for pushing back. Have you seen that clip before? I think it's the one where he talks about needing a full rewrite.
No, send that to me.
Okay, hold on. Give me a sec. All right, let me know when you're ready to go. We'll start at the same time.
Where's the clip?
Oh shit, hold on. It's taking a second to load. Okay.
But the audio is going to come through yours, or you want
No,
me to play
you've got to
it?
click it. We have to play it at the same time.
Okay, 3, 2, all right, play.
Of features as high as possible.
Yes. I mean, I think, frankly, if you want to have a really high velocity of features, I think we'll just need to do a total rewrite of the whole thing.
Wait, seriously, a total rewrite. That's your prediction for velocity.
Yeah.
Well, when you say a total rewrite, do you mean starting with the skeleton, or a bunch of engineers sit down with a whiteboard and say, "What is Twitter"? Revolution or reform?
I mean, I just mean like literally, like there's like you could either try to amend the crazy stack that exists, or rewrite it.
But when you say crazy stack, what do you mean? Like, break it down.
Have you seen George's like diagram?
No. I mean, like, what do you mean by crazy? No, seriously. Crazy stack. Come on, buddy. Come on.
Who are you?
What do you mean? Who am I? I don't know. You gave me the fucking mic. I got no.
I didn't give you the mic.
Whoa! I'm doing the mic, and let's keep it civil in my space.
I mean, yeah.
Like what? No, man. You're in charge of the servers and the programming, whatever. Like, what is the stack? Elon,
Keep things
come on,
technical
man.
in my space, please.
Take me from top to bottom. What does the stack look like right now? What's so crazy about it? What's so abnormal about this stack versus every other large-scale system on the planet, buddy? Come on, give it to me.
All right, so first off...
Amazing. Wow,
Wait.
you're a jackass.
Okay.
All right, no. I got no credibility here, buddy. I got no idea.
Let's First off, let's keep my space civil.
Here, you know, like
We removed him from.
Yeah, he should have known more than just
or said
rewrite.
anything at all, right?
Yeah, I think I mean, that was a PR stunt, like him saying rewrite. Because at first, when he first joined, he opened up the closet and there was a bunch of the shirts that said "Stay woke." I think he basically meant like the whole idea of Twitter needs to be changed, but he didn't know anything about the code specifically that need to.
Okay, but like
rewritten.
this is a lot of people are gonna miss this. Okay, but this is one of the reasons why this particular clip is so painful, in my opinion, and 92% of people are gonna miss this in the public, is that Elon's excuse constantly for being such an autistic fuck about everything that he does is, well, I'm an engineer. Well, I'm an engineer. Well, I'm an engineer. Okay, that's why he's bad at PR. That's why he's bad at speaking. That's why it's like, okay, fine. So when you get into things like maybe development or engineering, that would at least be the one area where I would expect him to say something like intelligent. But here, he sounds like every clueless middle manager ever. Guys, we need to rewrite the stack. What the fuck do you mean, rewrite the stack? What the fuck is wrong with it? Well, we just need a full rewrite. What do you?
Yeah,
what the
going in. Yeah, but I don't know if that could determine that he's an incompetent CEO of Twitter. Of course, he didn't know. He didn't know past rewrite, and he was saying that because it sounds good. He's like, oh, Elon's going to change everything. He should not have called that guy a jackass for asking a legitimate question.
Here's the advertising one. Okay, load up this one. Let me know when you're ready to go.
Hold
on. Tweets to.
Okay, 3, 2, 1, go.
If Twitter can accurately recommend tweets to you that you don't explicitly follow, it can by the same token also show ads that are relevant to you.
So the way that a lot of platforms do ad sales and a lot of like purchasers expect ads isn't necessarily I'm going to give you these ads and I trust you to serve them to the right people. It's usually almost the opposite, where it's I want to target this group of people in this region who went to a Jiffy Lube in the last 72 days. That level of micro-targeting is something a lot of ad buyers now expect, and like it's a huge part of how CPMs can get so high on platforms like YouTube. But sometimes these advertisers will serve entirely different versions of the same ad to different
Can you turn this guy
demographics.
off, please? He's just talking nonsense. Thanks. I've actually talked to the advertisers.
Yeah, okay. He didn't play the whole clip, but he's being too dismissive, especially in a Twitter space. That's the whole point of the Twitter space, is open discussion. That can't determine that he's an incompetent CEO just because he didn't want to hear this random guy tell him about targeted ads.
Well, what would you? Well, okay, but the fact that he says that like that's not how it works, and then he gets like upset when somebody's explaining like really basic things. And again, I encourage anybody that wants to. You can go to. I think you can probably type in like buy ad Facebook. You might have to make a business account or something there, but like you can target like ads like crazy. You can do it with AdSense as well. Like of course that's what you're going to be looking for. And yeah, that's why CPMs are so high on these platforms, is because like you can target an insanely precise audience. That's like expected.
I prefer his method. I'm tired of targeted ads. Means that they start listening to you and they start checking your emails to figure out like when you say like the word wine and then it shows up in your targeted ads a couple days. If less surveillance if I can,
you'd rather see random ads for like
I would
fucking.
rather pay. Yeah, I would rather pay a subscription model than be spied on all the time.
Okay, if you'd rather pay a subscription model, that'd be fine. But there are products for that, right? That's what. Do you own like YouTube? Well, I guess not for YouTube. But okay. What would be?
Yeah, what would you? If it's free, then you're the product, and then they're mining your own brain and they brain.
Yeah, of course, sure, which is fine. Yeah, that's just another way to pay for. Okay, that's fine.
I honestly prefer the subscription model. I think that's better for the future. And not everybody wants a blue check. I get it, but I think that's better. I don't think
most people prefer subscription models. If you just start paying for everything on the internet, I think people are gonna get pretty.
Not everything, but it's a sacrifice. I would rather pay than be spied on all the time and be sold constantly.
Okay. Here's a question: what would you have to see? What would you have to see to be like, okay, fuck, Elon is fucking up? So advertisers pulling away, that doesn't do it for you. Investors at Tesla getting upset. Him potentially stepping on a CEO from Twitter isn't.
Tesla, I think, is completely irrelevant. And I think the best metric, because it's brand new, he's only been on for a couple months. It's Twitter, like, it is more entertaining. Like, there's no.
So entertainment factor, that's the only thing that matters to you, is entertainment
that's
factor.
Right now, because it's brand new. The fact that it's 10 times more, and I'm even sure everybody in your chat will agree that Twitter has been 10 times more entertaining since Elon's taken over. We will see in a couple months, and we'll see how the stock is doing and how the numbers are doing, because like the subscription model is brand new. There's no way to actually measure it right now. But the fact that it's more entertaining, I think, is a good sign for the future. Especially for, this is what it's for. It's meant to entertain us.
Okay. The Tesla thing is pretty important, because I'm pretty sure that fucking like 95% of like Elon Musk's net worth is like wrapped up in Twitter. And I think he's selling off.
That's for his personal net worth, but you're thinking too much about his personal network and the PR rather than the future of free speech. It's a bigger conversation than Tesla.
Sure, but he has to manage that as a CEO. That's part of the like responsibility of being a billionaire, is that your image and your profile is going to have a dramatic impact on companies that are essentially stock that's traded on your rep, right? Because it's not like
which is why he wants to step down, which is why he wants to step down as CEO and give it up to somebody else.
Okay.
But if he keeps making the calls behind the scenes and he keeps actually advocating for free speech, which he is, if you pay the 20 racks, bro, get back on Twitter. It's a boom right now. It's so easy to blow up on Twitter, and especially like people like us that are getting censored, but it's really necessary to have a mainstream platform like this. Entertainment, right now, the fact that it's brand new, entertainment value is the best metric to see if Twitter's.
What do you think about him banning and falsely accusing people of doxing him for posting the flight tracker on his jet?
How is that false?
Well, because one, it's not doxing, right? Like all flights are tracked in the United States as per FAA. And then two, didn't he explicitly say multiple times that he was never going to ban the guy that flight tracks his plane?
And then he got unbanned.
Did he unban him?
Yeah, he unbanned him.
I don't think that's true. Pretty sure
he did. I saw it on my timeline.
So if I Google Elon flight tracker Twitter.
He was suspended for a couple days and he got back. And also, you got to empathize for him too. That guy jumped on the car. He was being watched, and a bunch of the leftists were. His kid was in a car and got stalked. And the flight tracker thing.
No. So Elon Jet is still banned. That account is still banned. Wait, unless this article is old. Let me check. Twitter.com/Elon Jet. Yeah, the account is still suspended.
What's the date of that article?
I just checked the account right now. The account is suspended.
How is that not doxing?
Because it's just the location of an airplane after it's landed.
That's what doxing means.
Is it?
Posting someone's location in real time is doxing.
Interesting. Okay.
I worry for his safety right now. You have to admit that they definitely do not like him. The mainstream news doesn't like him. All the people in charge don't like him. Maybe there's an argument to be made that he's part of the globalist agenda because he wants everybody to be part of Neuralink. But as of now, he's public enemy #1 when it comes to everybody in leftist media. He has a target on his back, and he needs to be careful. Then
don't fly a private jet that gets tracked by the FAA, whose location is listed publicly on websites that can never be taken down. You can Google right now. I think you go to Flight Radar, and you can just search for any flight you want. You can see where it's at. I told you, for instance, that Melina was flying here. You can go and look up her flight right now and see exactly where she is in the air if you look at it.
Why are you telling everybody that? There's a difference between, I see what you're saying.
Flights. It's public flights. It's tracked in the United States. That's what our radars and shit are for. So, yeah, you can go and look at where flights are.
But he's at a different level of did you see him at Chappelle's show? Everybody woke, everybody with blue hair hates him. They're
but that's his fault. He makes himself so fucking hateable.
So he needs to protect himself as well. I completely understand hiding that type of information.
Okay.
But I heard him basically say, if women are going to require all these things, if they're going to want the edgy boy with all the tattoos and crazy Riz or whatever, then by that implication, why wouldn't men just manipulate? If that's all women are looking, if they're looking for these do you think that the friendship experiment failed? Have you given up on it?
Yeah, I had a discussion with Ab about this. There's a very, very, very fine point here that people have misunderstood that I've said in the past, and I'll try to clarify this now. The reason why I will give everybody a chance it's not because I don't want to look at their past relationships with other people. It's because me being on the internet so much, I know how that can get misrepresented. I'm sorry. Here's like one major thing that I notice that people have issues with when they're speaking in these spaces about dating and relationships. People always say that it's like dating and relationship advice, but none of it is. None of this has anything to do with datings and relationships. All of it has to do with hookups. And when people use all of these terms interchangeably, it triggers the fuck out of me. Everything, I'm listening to, I think like an hour or 40 minutes or something of the irrelevant thing, or an hour.
Yeah.
People that switch between these words of dating and relationships triggers the fuck out of me. Everything Irrelevant was saying was absolutely true if it was regards to like just hooking up with people. But that one Australian girl was right, where it's like, okay, you can do that, but if you do that all the way up until you're 30, like you're setting yourself up to be like a horrible relationship partner. You're not just gonna jump into a good relationship at 30 if you've just been trying to fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
Right, and you would agree with that?
What, her statement? Yes.
Yeah, that basically like, because he was kind of saying like, but if you manipulate, so the part that I took kind of issue with, that I'm curious to ask him what he actually thinks about it, because it was like an hour and a half into, but he said something like how if you have no morals and you kind of manipulate yourself into a whole bunch of relationships, you might have a whole bunch of brief, short relationships, but that's better than having none, and you'll have more experience so that when you start pursuing healthier relationships, you'll already be like ahead of the ball game. And so like in some ways, like manipulating women and like lying to them to get into like fake short relationships is kind of like the meta plan. And I would say like, I would just wholly disagree with that, because I think that you can learn a lot about relationships. I don't think you need to be in a relationship to necessarily learn about them. And I also think that learning from a really toxic relationship isn't going to transfer super well to a healthy relationship.
I'm probably close enough to agreeing. Yeah. What?
All right, well, fuck you.
I think Irrelevant's points on what type of guys are going to get initial, like his point when he made the voice change for a second and said, I'm going to be judged immediately off that and not get a lot of attention or chances. I think that's absolutely correct. And I think
I am going to give this take, and I don't care. I'm going to stand by this till the day that I fucking die, where people come around to it. Being shy is a negative characteristic, and for some reason, people don't want to acknowledge that. If
he
you
didn't
are
say shy.
He made a shy boy. He's like talking like a guy with no confidence.
He said meek. Yeah, he said that he's very meek around women.
Yeah, that's lack of confidence is always going to be an unattractive trait. I think even for women that can be unattractive. If there's a girl that constantly needs reassurance or constantly needs like she's fishing for compliments and shit, like even that's unattractive for women. That's fair. That
I might have misunderstood his point, but I didn't think it was supposed to be shy. It was just supposed to be that sounds weird, and that's going to be a turn off.
Okay, but like if you want to go that hardcore and literally be like, well, what if it's just a speech impediment? Then fine. But that's like dumb as fuck. Sure, right? Like
no, he was pretty clear. Like he was like he called himself a 6, and he said with women he's very shy and unconfident and awkward. And then when that third caller came in, I'm like, come on, man, you just seem really confident. How are you going to say you're not confident? And he said, bro, you've never seen me in person. I'm really, really awkward with women. I don't know how to talk to them.
Okay, then I missed that part. I was rating at the same time.
It was at the very end. It was like the third caller in, so.
Okay, because I heard him say the speech impediment piece after he made that voice, so I thought he was just talking about, on first glance, there are going to be something that, as like a person, because right after that, he also said something along the lines of, you're going to get more passes for fuck-ups early on if you are very, very attractive. And I think that's
but that's true with every trait. That Australian girl brought up that's true for everything. You're gonna get more passes if you're wealthy. You're gonna get more passes if you're really funny. You're gonna get more passes if you're really charismatic. You're gonna get more passes if you're like a good manipulator. Like there's a lot of things that get you more passives or passes.
Well, right, but take out wealthy, take out manipulator and all that stuff. In general, most guys are not gonna get a ton of passes unless they are of a certain caliber of attractive.
Well,
so here's the...
Go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say, what was interesting to me was, I'm curious what you guys think. Relly says that he's confident. He's just not confident with women. And I'm curious if you guys think, like, is that real? Can you be confident but just not good with women?
Yes, absolutely.
Well, no, it's not that he's not good with women. He's not confident around women, right?
Right.
But that's like a lack of confidence. But I mean, like...
But he says that he is confident. Probably.
Okay, but that's like autistic, like, word games, right? Like, I can be like, oh, well, I'm really confident. I'm just not confident about playing my saxophone, though. Like, in front of, like, doing, like, rehearsals. Or, oh, I'm not confident about that. Well, okay, then you're not confident. Or, like, that's weird to be, like, a general, like... That's just a weird thing to say. Like, if you say you're confident, you're confident. If you're not, you're not, right? It sounds like he's lacking confidence around women. If you want to talk about how much that affects your general confidence, it's a weird thing to say, but yeah.
Okay, I think we found finally maybe a disagreement. I think that you can, because I think I kind of break up social skills into a number of different domains. And what I think is I've noticed some people can be really, really skillful in certain social domains. So for example, you might have somebody who's really good at like friendly interactions. They build friendships very quickly and they're very good in like group friendly dynamics. They're very charismatic, but they're terrible at flirting and they're really, really awkward. Or differently, they might be awful at confrontation. And I think like general social dynamics versus like sexual negotiation and flirtation versus like confrontation are kind of slightly different social skills, and I think you can be good in some and bad at others.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
I'm gonna destroy this one too, okay? I'm gonna destroy this one. I'm sorry, okay? You know how Brittany has her fucking introspective system bullshit or whatever?
The levels? Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't mean bullshit Lucy specific. I think it's fine to rate people that way if you want. This is something I figured out when I was 17, okay? And I haven't been convinced out of it since, okay? I believe that confidence and self-esteem are the most important traits a person can have. I think that every single other trait in your life, everything, is built off of your personal self-esteem, all of it. And that if that foundation is fucked, your image of yourself is fucked, every other part of your life will suffer. Nothing won't have the tendrils of your lack of self-esteem on it, right? If somebody says, I'm really confident, except in situations where I'm challenged, that means you're not confident. It just means that you spend a lot of time in a comfort zone, in my opinion, right? If somebody's like, oh, because if a relevant saying I'm not confident on girls, okay, well, when are you confident? Well, when I'm hanging out with friends, okay, congratulations. When I'm talking to my audience on stream, okay, congratulations. When I'm like debating, that may be a little bit more, but like it's something you enjoy. But when the stakes are high, because for men, there is no higher stake than a woman rejecting you, because that's how we, like all of us derive, except for me, because I'm way cool in that, but that's how 99% of men derive like all of their validation. Well, then that is a problem with confidence, in my opinion.
Interesting, because so you would say because he's good at confrontation, clearly, so he can manage pushback, he can manage people disagreeing with him very harshly. In fact, all he looks for in streaming is people to fight with him. So you would say that's still his comfort zone.
Yeah.
So he's not confident.
I think so, yeah. If there was a girl that I really liked and I had a chance of getting shot down by that girl, that confrontation for me is going to be a billion times more stressful than having Keffals and Hassan and everybody else on the internet attacking me. Because like in a way it's a type of confidence that I have, but like it's actually more disconnectedness that I feel, right? Like when Keffals attacks me, there's a part of me that's like, oh well, I know that she's wrong about this, but there's another part that's like, I just don't really give a fuck what she thinks.
When it comes to like social interactions, but like especially
Hello wonderful person, this is Anton, and today we're going to be discussing yet another discovery, or I guess a rediscovery or reanalysis, of a pretty exciting star system that seems to contain first confirmed water planets, or ocean worlds as they're also known, we've ever discovered. But more specifically, identifying types of planets we don't have here in the solar system, but types of planets the scientists believe potentially exist everywhere out there, maybe even representing some of the most common planets in existence in our galaxy. And so in this video we're going to discuss this particular star system known as Kepler-138 in a little bit more detail, discuss what the scientists have recently identified and discovered about the star system, and of course discuss what this means for astronomy as well. And so first let's start with the discovery and the star system itself. Like most of the stars in our galaxy, this is what's known as a red dwarf, also known as an M-type star. It's known as Kepler-138, sometimes also referred to as KOI 314, discovered by the iconic Kepler telescope back in 2014. And like so many other discoveries from the Kepler telescope, in this case, by seeing the shadows pass in front of the star, the scientists discovered that there were at least two separate planets, eventually discovering a third planet and then potentially even the fourth. As you probably know, Kepler telescope discovered over 5,000 different planets, and although we've expected at least some of them to be similar to what we have in the solar system, the vast majority of them seems to be extremely different, either super-Earths, mini-Neptunes, hot Jupiters, or, like what we have here, ocean worlds. Although in this case, an extreme ocean world, something that we can't actually even imagine. And the star, that's about 218 light years away from us, is positioned in such a way that it's relatively easy to see the planets. Actually it looks something like this, and in this case it's relatively easy to get pretty much all of the necessary data to determine their mass and of course their density. Now, the closest planet to the star, as of today, is one of the smallest in terms of mass ever discovered. The smallest by looking at the actual transit. It's known as Kepler-138b, and it's very likely extremely similar to Mars in terms of mass and size. But it's also much closer to the parent star, and thus potentially has extremely hot temperatures, although the actual properties of this planet are still not entirely clear. Now, because this particular star is much smaller than our Sun, it's about half the size and half the mass of the Sun, it also has less temperature, and so here the planets can be much closer to the star and still be not as hot as some of the planets in the solar system. So in this case, we're not entirely certain how hot this planet is, but assuming that it has at least a little bit of atmosphere, it potentially has conditions similar to Venus. Either way, this particular planet is not particularly exciting, but the next two are very different and are very exciting, and these two planets actually turn out to be almost like twins. Both Kepler-138c and Kepler-138d are roughly around 50% larger than planet Earth, and they both seem to possess relatively similar mass. But judging by their density, the scientists determined that they're very likely made out of some kind of a volatile substance. In this case, the most likely substance to create these planets is water. Both of these planets very likely have some kind of a metallic or rocky core, but also an extremely thick layer of really hot pressurized water, with a huge thick layer of some kind of a steam water, or basically very hot water gas, covering the surface or essentially the upper atmosphere. But then, as you go deeper and deeper, the water becomes supercritical and becomes liquid, pressurized, super hot, and a lot sloshier than the water we have here on Earth, but liquid water nevertheless. And the reason these two planets are very likely superheated water is really because of their distance to the star. A single orbit here takes about 13 days for the closest planet and 23 days for the farther planet, and so one is obviously a little bit hotter than the other, but they do seem to contain very similar properties. Their mass is just a little bit different and their size is exactly the same. Both are twice as massive as planet Earth, and both are essentially approximately 50% the size of planet Earth. And though it is possible that maybe these planets are not made out of water but some other unusual volatile, because of the ubiquity of water out there, it just makes the most sense. So it's most likely unusual water gas. Although the previous assumption was that these were very thick super-Earths, but it doesn't seem to be the case based on the density measurements from the recent paper. The recent paper even suggests that the ocean here is probably around 2,000 kilometers in depth, representing roughly around 50% of the volume of the entire planet, although only about 11% of total mass, which in terms of composition is actually kind of similar to many moons we have here in the solar system, such as Europa, Ganymede, Titan, Enceladus, and so on. They do actually have very similar density and very similar water volume on the inside, but in this case these are frozen moons, whereas in this case this is what happens if you were to bring these objects much closer to the star itself. The outer layer evaporates and creates a relatively thick layer of gas that potentially creates a lot of unusual properties on the surface. But at the moment it would be really difficult to imagine what these planets actually look like. I mean, for all we know, they're basically just these large gas balls with a lot of water clouds all over the surface. But more importantly, a lot of recent observations, including some of the recent studies, actually established that these planets are most likely the most common planets in the entire galaxy. Our whole galaxy might actually contain quite a lot of these ocean worlds, and not so much anything else. With the video in the description below explaining a little bit more detail about all of this. But until future observations with James Webb Telescope, we're not going to know for sure what these planets contain. It does of course make it a perfect target for the future observations though, and so we're going to be learning more about these in the next few years. But there is something else really intriguing about the star system a little bit farther away. Not so long ago, the scientists realized that the star was also wobbling just a little bit. It was basically doing this, as if there was another object. And the new analysis suggests that there does seem to be another planet farther away. And in this case, the mass of this planet is a little bit less than Venus, but a little bit more than Mars. But more intriguingly, it seems to be located on the outskirts of what's known as the habitable zone. In other words, it's like someone took Venus and put it a little bit farther away, where at least in theory, depending on its atmosphere, it could potentially develop habitable conditions. And since we now know that this system seems to contain quite a lot of water, it could only suggest that maybe this planet is actually an ocean world too, and in this case does contain actual temperate ocean on the surface. Not too hot, not too cold. And that's why this particular star system is probably one of the more exciting star systems discovered in the last 6 to 7 years, and will have to be re-examined by future studies. In this case, a single year here is about 38 days, so it is a little bit farther away from the star. But because this planet does not transit in front of the star, it will be very difficult to detect and to analyze its atmosphere. And so this is quite an intriguing star system, and a star system that we're going to be discussing in the future once the scientists identify something else. At the moment, we don't really know much else about it, but because of all of these exciting planets located in the star system, it's now basically in the list of some of the more exciting star systems, such as the famous TRAPPIST-1 system. And so once James Webb Telescope is able to analyze the ocean worlds, we're definitely going to come back and talk more about this in order to understand what actually happens around these planets. And so even though here in the solar system, these types of ocean worlds are usually moons or dwarf planets, most of the planetary bodies outside of the solar system seem to create larger objects with a similar composition, but very likely extremely different properties, with properties depending on the distance from the star and of course the composition of the atmosphere above. And so until these future discoveries and until these future observations with James Webb Space Telescope, that is pretty much all I wanted to mention. The study and all of the relevant links are as always in the description below, and if you've enjoyed this video, subscribe, share this with someone who loves learning about space and sciences, come back tomorrow to learn something else, and maybe support this channel on Patreon by joining channel membership or by buying the Wonderful Person t-shirt you can find in the description. Stay wonderful, I'll see you tomorrow, and as always, bye bye.
Supers are shit. Well.
It is no news that the Chinese regime wants to control, decide, and impose itself in all possible matters, and the issue of the Dalai Lama's succession in Tibet is no exception. A Buddhist organization based in India has declared that it will not support any successor to the main spiritual leader of Tibet appointed by China, nor will the population of the Himalayan region. As reported by Radio Free Asia, the Indian Himalayan Council of the Nalanda Buddhist tradition issued a statement on Tuesday, December 20th, showing its position. If the government of the People's Republic of China, for political ends, chooses a candidate for the Dalai Lama, the people of the Himalayas will never accept it, never pay devotional obeisance to such a political appointee, and publicly denounce such a move by anyone. The system of recognizing reincarnated spiritual beings is a religious practice unique to Nalanda Buddhism and the philosophy of the principle of life after death. Revisiting history, the Dalai Lama fled Tibet and went into exile in India in 1959 in the midst of a failed national uprising against the Beijing government. Now 87 years old, concerns have arisen of how the succession will be handled. According to Tibetan tradition, elderly Buddhist monks are reincarnated in the body of a child after their death, and the Dalai Lama has said his successor will be born in a country outside Chinese control. But Radio Free Asia reported in October that China has plans to install a puppet leader in place of the current Dalai Lama after his death in an elaborate public relations strategy aimed at ending international support for Tibet. Lochin Rinpoche, president of the Indian Himalayan Council, stated that China has no right to make a decision on the next Dalai Lama. Everyone who follows Nalanda tradition around the globe considers the Dalai Lama as their spiritual leader. Therefore, the sole authority on the reincarnation of His Holiness the Dalai Lama is Ganden Phodrang Foundation. It should be noted that Ganden Phodrang Foundation is the personal office of the Dalai Lama. For his part, the secretary of the control, Moling Gangpo, affirmed that the process of reincarnation of the Dalai Lama is a religious and cultural process. He clarified that if the Chinese regime or any other entity interferes in this matter for political gain, the council will never accept its outcome. Likewise, Tibetans continue to resent the Chinese intervention in the election 25 years ago of the Panchen Lama, who died in 1989. The Panchen Lama is the second spiritual leader of Tibet and, together with the Council of High Lamas, is in charge of finding the next Dalai Lama. Genhun Chokyi Nima was recognized on May 14, 1995, at the age of 6, as the 11th Panchen Lama, the reincarnation of his predecessor. The Dalai Lama's recognition infuriated the Chinese authorities, who 3 days later detained the boy and his family and installed another boy, Gyeltsin Norbu, as their candidate in his place. The Beijing-installed Panchen Lama remains unpopular among Tibetans, both in exile and at home. The resolution on the Dalai Lama's successor came at the same time the U.S. lawmakers introduced a bill for the resolution of the conflict between Tibet and China. A bill that, if enacted, would make it official U.S. policy that the resumption of dialogue is necessary to resolve the Tibet-China conflict, and states that Tibet's legal status has yet to be determined under international law. The bill introduced in the U.S. Senate also accuses the Chinese government of violating Tibetans' right to self-determination.
This is Deller.
My God! Ban Marshall now! Ban him! Ban him!
And you could probably call him the angriest man on Twitch. In clip after viral clip, you can see him burst into fits of rage. But there's actually far more to Deller's story than meets the eye. It is one of anger and toxicity, but also hardship and tragedy.
I hate doing this. I hate streaming, and I hate my community, and I hate you guys, and I hate this website.
And, in a way, prevailing against all odds.
25 years ago, I was listening to this music, and someone told me that I was never going to accomplish anything playing games like this.
Oh no,
and here I am 25 years later, and I am sitting in the house that I'm about to own. I have a brand new car in the garage, and I have everything I need to survive in this world. I'm really happy right now.
There's no sports quite as heated as esports.
Man. Oh my God. I'm gonna get that.
Why is the auto watch on?
So recently it was the 5-year anniversary of the vlog that changed Logan Paul's life. At the time, he was a groundbreaking internet star with money falling out of his butt, who clearly felt that he could do no wrong.
1 month ago, the social media superstar with over 16 million YouTube subscribers was at the top of his game.
But this Paul brother would quickly find out that he was not invincible, and in fact he would seemingly turn the whole world against him with one single video.
I've made a severe and continuous lapse in my judgment.
And things obviously changed pretty drastically and quickly. I believe it happened for a reason.
At this time, I, like most people over the age of 10, already thought that Logan was quite frankly an idiot. He was loud, he was annoying, and he was disrespectful. Worst of all, he was essentially making content for kids and thought it would be a good idea to document something so disgusting on a public platform with ads. There's really no describing the twistedness of someone's brain to be able to go to Japan looking for this, film the vlog, go back and edit the vlog, give it a final look after editing it with your team, and decide to post it for millions of people to see. After this all went down, I thought he was about to be done forever. He had been removed from YouTube's partner program and was getting hate on a massive level.
It's been tough. Millions of people literally telling me they hate me to go die in a fire. To be honest with you, the hardest time of my life. I've never been hated by the whole world.
But thanks to some legendary rebranding away from making kids content, a boxing career, a podcast, a beard, and a friendship with a longtime rival, Logan had really changed his public perception over the last couple of years, and I would say he found himself in the good graces of most of the general public. In 2022, he is as popular as he's ever been. He's on the verge of having one of the biggest sports drinks in the world, rivaling Gatorade. He signed a contract with the WWE, his podcast is booming, and he's obviously making more money than ever. He was proving time and time again that he could shift these markets from Pokemon cards to NFTs, and pretty much anything he decided to have tunnel vision on for a 3-month period.
I don't want anyone to tell me anything is impossible ever again. The fact that I'm in here with one of the greatest boxers of all time proves that the odds can be beat.
It was almost as if everything, at least the public perception of everything involving Logan, had turned to gold. But even in the midst of all this success, one big criticism many detractors had against him was that he was so scared of being cancelled again that he essentially became a mouthpiece for all that is politically correct. On all social issues, he started to represent the safest possible take because he wanted to continue and maintain his business deals without fear of backlash from the general public, aka fear of being cancelled.
To me, I see this and I'm like, what a fucking G. Like, he don't give a fuck, right?
Wait, is that really what you think, or is that what you saying? But like,
I
when
swear
you
to God,
see
I swear
Harry
to God, I'm
Styles
not
wearing a
even-
dress,
Yeah.
like your immediate thought is, wow, this guy's a real gangster.
Yep. Because I'm all about challenging social norms.
It's like he was the polar opposite of someone like Sneeko, who recently took the internet by storm by purposely playing the contrarian viewpoint of society over and over again. In general, I would like to think that most rationally minded people live somewhere in the middle of these two spheres. Either way, everything was clearly working out in Logan's favor, as he was well on his way to becoming a billionaire within the next couple of years. But now, 5 years after his first cancellation, he's getting cancelled once again for something else altogether that has absolutely nothing to do with social issues or something that he said wrong. Logan is in trouble for his shady business practices after YouTube investigator CoffeeZilla revealed a video series he had been working on for the last year where he exposed Logan Paul's CryptoZoo project.
Today, we're investigating Logan Paul's CryptoZoo, a blockchain game that made millions but never worked. Some of you guys think you know the story, but it goes so much deeper.
CryptoZoo was supposed to be, in Logan's words, a game where people could have fun and invest money. It was centered around these NFT pictures of animals morphed together.
You breed cats to make more cats that can breed more cats, and like people again say that they're worth money. Right. What if we actually made that cool, right, and fun?
Yeah.
And so I did that with animals. You know, what does every human love? Cute animals.
Yeah.
Kittens, fucking bear,
yeah,
puppies. Yeah.
Keep in mind, this project was released at the height of the NFT hype, and at the time, idiots everywhere were shelling out tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars on what was essentially a JPEG image, being promised that it would be the next big thing as our society transitioned to a virtual world. In particular, I do think he got extra juiced up when he found out that Gary Vee, who he sees as a mentor, had made tens of millions of dollars selling childlike doodles to his followers called V-Friends.
Bro, Gary has V-Friends crushing right now. Gary Vaynerchuk, good friend of mine. I think there needs to be a fresh take, and this project that I have is that fresh take. September 1st, CryptoZoo.co, and I knew I wanted to make a creative mark in the NFT space, not just a collecting mark, right?
And so CoffeeZilla came out with this expose video that essentially claims that this NFT project was straight up not usable in any way, the game did not work, you could not hatch your CryptoZoo animal, which was an essential part of this quote-unquote game, and that they essentially left investors in the dark after they put these tens to hundreds of thousands of dollars into Logan's pocket.
This has consumed his life.
I like doing it. We put hundreds of thousands of dollars in it. Personally, the whole team, $1 million. Like, if people love it as much as we do, which I think they will, and like I said, bro, my track record's good. I'm not always right, but I'm right more than I'm wrong. I hope I'm right with this project. I hope people love it.
Yeah.
But we're coming up with really, really fun plans for, 6 months down the line, a year down the line, 2 years down the line.
Basically, the promises were all empty, and that Logan essentially sold them a pipe dream and abandoned them for a newer, shinier project.
I lost around $50,000 in CryptoZoo.
I lost $40,000.
I lost around $15,000 US.
I lost $25,000
$120,000.
$500,000 Australian, which is $500,000.
Now, many would think from the outside looking in that this would be enough to end Logan Paul. I mean, you would think it would completely destroy his reputation, but this is far from his first rodeo when it comes to selling his audience on sketchy projects that he gets all excited about for a few months and then forgets all about when something else catches his eye. In 2020, he started a behind the scenes, aka behind a paywall Maverick Club, costing $20 a month, and apparently the content on there was all ass cheeks. This behind the scenes footage and information was a bunch of B-roll bullshit, but still I would not necessarily consider this a scam because at least he is delivering the consumer something. Last year he promoted a project called Dink Doink, which was a shit crypto coin that Logan Paul put out at the height of the crypto mania. Are y'all seeing a running theme here?
At first glance, Dink Doink is just a fun cartoon created by some of the world's top comedians and influencers. But Dink Doink is so much more than that. Dink Doink is the world's first ever decentralized IP, given to a community and run by a community.
Bullshit! And the real worst part about that is that he tried to make it look like he was some randomly interested investor in the project that he was promoting, but he really designed the entire thing. CoffeeZilla also covered this story back when it happened, and I really do encourage you guys to go check out these full videos that CoffeeZilla has done. At this point, that guy is producing higher quality shit than what you see on Netflix. And let's also not forget about the time earlier last year, I believe, that Logan launched these Logan cards, which were also NFTs, and sold $5 million worth of this bullshit. And he even came out with an NFT Pokemon card for himself. And then in April of this year, he launched yet another money grab with his 99 originals, which was once again more of this NFT trash. He marketed this as some sort of huge project that consumed his life for the last year, as he sought to get the coolest Polaroid possible.
It's the only thing I care about. Each picture is an NFT. It all ties to my entire life.
Seriously, are you guys seeing a running theme here with this stuff? And in him announcing this, that was pretty much the official death of CryptoZoo, as investors all around the world felt like he was spitting in their face by announcing this after abandoning the CryptoZoo, which had a similar narrative as this project, that it was taking all of his time and consuming his entire life. Like if he was living, breathing, and eating this shit. I mean, even back when he was talking about CryptoZoo, Logan was even saying that he hopes this would be kids' first investment into their portfolio.
Like, I just know that I love it.
Yeah.
My developers and my team love it. Who loves it most? The kids. I think that's the most important thing we're doing. Kids are going to care about the blockchain because of my project.
That's incredible.
Yeah. Imagine your first experience on the blockchain is with CryptoZoo.
Yeah, don't invest in the S&P 500, don't get a Roth IRA. Nah, kids, buy my shitty project I will abandon in 2 months. I mean, that's seriously screwed up. I guess if I'm just really trying to tie a bow on all of this, all I'm really trying to say here is that despite all of this negative publicity that he's receiving over these shitty business practices over and over again, despite the dislikes that he's getting on his podcast right now, I just don't feel like Logan will ever stop being successful because he does get away with it time and time again, as have many other influencers out there. He, like many other people in the crypto and NFT space, has now shown his true colors, and obviously I feel like you should never invest in anything he does, or really believe him about anything he says in regards to his business. It just seems to me like he's always looking for the next quick buck at the expense of his audience, and I just really can't understand why when he's already filthy fucking rich, getting all these mainstream opportunities to do some really cool stuff, and he's still messing around down here with these shady ass people. It's like he gets all excited about these projects and trying to curate them, but it seems like he doesn't really have the technical understanding to really be the one promoting these things in good faith to an audience of millions of impressionable kids. But y'all let me know what you guys think about this latest Logan Paul news down below. Has Logan really changed? Is it all an act? As always, I do want to thank you guys for watching today's video, dropping a like and subscribing. If you did enjoy, make sure you share with a friend.
Beijing, we have a problem. This video is going to look at summit rocks once again, and what they might tell us about the 1960 Chinese expedition, and at the end I'll have some brief comments about what this means for Mallory and Irvin. This photo comes from a video that was recently shared with me by Jochen Hemleb, and it presents real problems for people who believe the Chinese reached the summit in 1960. Today, Wikipedia presents the Chinese 1960 summit as a done deal, but when reading the entry, one is struck by the awkward language and apparent lack of understanding of basic principles. Just like poorly worded emails promising riches from a Nigerian prince, poorly worded Wikipedia entries lacking basic knowledge of how things work might not be entirely accurate. In addition, various commentators on Mallory and Irvin feel the need to constantly remind us that the 1960 team reached the summit, and it makes one feel we are unwitting participants in some type of 1950s psychological experiment. There are several good reasons to believe the Chinese did not reach the summit in 1960. They provided two entirely different accounts of their route above the third step. They claimed to have summited at night and not taken any photos because it was dark, but curiously took no photos until well into daylight, and then only one very short film. Finally, their alleged summit rocks have remained locked away in China and not subject to review by Western labs. However, this photo is probably enough to rule out a summit and at the very least raise serious questions until a Western lab is able to provide a definitive answer. Now, the 3 climbers who allegedly reached the summit, as well as others from the expedition, have all passed away. However, the 3 climbers always insisted they did make the summit, and these rocks provide a likely explanation as to why they believed they reached the summit when in fact they did not. It was a long-held idea that the Chinese only reached a false summit, an idea that has been around since the first Chinese reports were published. The report made by the Chinese in the Himalayan Journal, published in 1961, contains little to no description of their route on the upper mountain. The article is linked in the description, and the editor of the Himalayan Journal wrote in response to the article, "Apparently the route taken by the Chinese climber was via the northeast ridge and not across the face of the mountain. Unfortunately, paragraphs 22 through 24 are very vague as to their route, no particulars are given, and throughout there is an absence of the sort of detail one should have in order to judge of the claims to an ascent being made." However, in the book, Detectives on Everest, this same information is found to dispel any suspicion that the Chinese could have added these details after their ascent in 1975. It is difficult to see how the detectives on Everest could reach this conclusion. The only mention of anything resembling a route notes a triangle snowfield and what could be called the Summit Traverse, both of which were written about by Noel Odell in 1924. But Odell did not come within 1,000 vertical feet of the summit, and Odell's description was far more detailed than that of the Chinese. The Chinese account was published in a major journal in 1961, so it is not clear why anyone would think the details were added after the confirmed summit in 1975. The problem has always been that the details of the exact route were never there and have never been provided in the decades since the alleged summit. Curiously, the Chinese describe the summit as an oval-shaped crest between snow and rock, which does not match with the actual summit, but rather with the false summit. The false summit being at the top of this photo here, with the much lighter rocks than the actual summit rocks. Some of these false summit rocks even have a reddish tint to them. That the Chinese likely reached the false summit was noted as far back as 1961, with the editor of the Himalayan Journal noting, "The Chinese claim to have reached the summit in darkness, and they themselves stress the relative inexperience of the mountaineers concerned. It is very easy, even for experienced mountaineers, to mistake a subsidiary hump for a peak in darkness or in bad visibility. Furthermore, these climbers were extremely exhausted and suffering from oxygen lack, hunger, and thirst at the time." Another Everest blogger, Mark Horrell, had a curious analysis of the 1960 climb. In general, I like Horrell's content, and we'll be looking at a lot of it in the upcoming analysis of the 1960 climb. However, I disagree with him that the account provided by the Chinese in the book Everest, 80 Years of Triumph and Tragedy gives any indication they made the summit. Peter Gilman's book is an excellent source of photos and information about the mountain, but you can pause the video and read the account provided by the Chinese, and there is nothing in there that indicates this person had been to the summit, and there is plenty to believe he did not. For instance, there is no subsidiary summit just a few meters short of the summit. While the final summit slope does undulate, it is nothing like what is described in Wang Fu Chao's account. Wang again describes the summit as the boundary between the snow and rocks, but that is simply not what the summit looks like. I also disagree with Mark Horrell that the comments from the editor were a snotty note. Instead, the Himalayan journal spent pages providing detailed analysis of the problem with the Chinese account and the accompanying photos. The Himalayan journal's skepticism was also shared by the Alpine journal back in 1960 when they received the first report from the Chinese. The Alpine journal noted the information was scanty and some of it curious. This is because the Chinese released little information about the climb until the 1961 article in the Himalayan journal. Of interest to viewers of this channel is that in the same 1960 Alpine Journal edition, it announced that Sir Edmund Hillary would be returning to the Himalayas on a scientific mission to test his ability to acclimatize without oxygen, to conduct research on solar radiation, and of course, to find a Yeti. And while people generally do not believe in the Yeti, for some reason they do believe the Chinese reached the summit in 1960, though evidence for both seems to be about the same. That is, some vague eyewitness accounts contradicted by more reliable evidence. There is nothing in any of the various and differing accounts given by the Chinese that provides any detail that would only be known to someone who reached the summit. I will provide more analysis of the various conflicting accounts of the 1960 alleged summit in future videos. For now, the largest problem for the Chinese is this photo of the so-called summit rocks. These rocks appear to be a lighter color, which is consistent with the thrombolite layer of the summit pyramid. A 2018 article, which I link in the description, analyzes various rock samples taken above the yellow band from the south side. Another article provides better analysis of the thrombolite layer and more details about the type of fossils found near the summit. The thrombolite layer is the lighter colored rocks that make up the rock band below the summit. As Conrad Anker wrote, more recent geologists have noted other invertebrate fossils from summit limestone samples in a distinctive white weathering 200-foot thick thrombolite bed. Common microbial deposits found in ancient marine carbonate rocks has been described at the base of the third step on the northeast ridge. The thrombolite layer is distinct from the summit and marks a sharp barrier for fossils, with the article this photo is from noting the distinction between the layers. The article notes that the summit rocks include sand-sized fossilized fecal pellets, and the irony of using fossilized fecal pellets to dispel the yak dung put out by modern propaganda operation should be enough for anyone to appreciate Chumulunga's sense of humor. So with an extensive collection of 9 alleged summit rocks from 1960, and the ability to compare these to known samples from various altitudes below the summit, as soon as the Chinese allow such an examination of the rocks, we will know exactly how far the 1960 team got. With how light the rocks are, they appear to be from the thrombolite layer, with the lighter rock colors being about 20 meters below the false summit. So until the rocks can be analyzed, it is not clear if the Chinese even reached the false summit. Unfortunately for Mallory and Irvin, when George Mallory was dug up in 1999, as this photograph shows, his clothing was ripped up such that it would be impossible to find rocks in his pockets. This is corroborated by the account of Wade Davis, who saw the film of the search and describes the team, quote, crudely tearing at the clothing. Further evidence that the items were missed is that this altimeter was found in one of George Mallory's pockets, and while it had some type of glass or acrylic covering when Mallory put it in his pocket, no pieces of the cover were reported found. Thus, while a pencil, a pocket knife, and a handkerchief were found, this is because they were large enough and distinct enough to be found even if they fell out of the pockets. But if small pieces of glass or rocks fell out of one of the ripped up pockets, they would not have been collected. I also tend to trust photographs and accounts written close to the time of the incident rather than recollections from over 20 years ago. But there is hope, as this photograph of Andrew Irvin shows. He had zippered pockets on his jacket. If Irvin is ever found, the rocks in those pockets, or the lack thereof, will shine like a candle in the dark in this demon-haunted world.
To the latest on the war in Ukraine. Vladimir Putin claiming he is willing to negotiate, even as Russia unleashed more deadly attacks overnight, and they were targeting civilians. Britt Clennon is on the ground in Ukraine with more. Britt, good morning.
Good morning, Gio. Well, Ukraine attacked an airbase deep inside Russia this morning. Moscow saying it shot down a drone and the falling debris killed at least 3 people. This morning, the moment Ukraine strikes a Russian bomber base captured in videos circulating online. Moscow saying 3 technical staff were killed in the drone attack. The base is more than 300 miles from the Ukrainian border. Kyiv says it's used by Russian planes to target Ukraine. Civilians in the Ukrainian city of Bakhmut taking heavy fire. The attack just hours after a Russian strike on Christmas Eve left at least 13 people dead and dozens injured in the city of Kherson. President Putin now saying he is willing to come to the negotiating table, but a compromise at this stage still seems unlikely. Putin refuses to withdraw his troops from Ukraine, and Kyiv says it will not give up an inch of territory. For those in Ukraine, the holiday season bittersweet. In Mykolaiv, local officials protecting a monument with sandbags and decorating it to look like a Christmas tree with camouflage netting and lights. This is a symbol of Ukrainian resolve, a way of saying that despite the repeated attacks on energy infrastructure by the Russians, Christmas is not cancelled and that these important traditions live on. Many Ukrainians are forced to spend the holiday season without heat or light. And yet Ukrainian citizens refusing to let the darkness of war dampen their holiday spirit. Taking to the subway to sing Christmas carols amid air raid sirens. But Ukraine President Zelensky warning his citizens not to let their guard down. Saying, only a few days of this year are left. I know that darkness will not prevent us from bringing the invaders to their new defeats, but we must be ready for any scenario. Kyiv remains on alert with fears Russia could launch a barrage of missiles here at any moment in retaliation for that deadly airbase attack. Mary.
Britt, thank you.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.
Look at how many people are in the Fangcang hospital. All of them are set free tonight, and they are all sent home. Look, how many people from the Fangcang hospital.
Sending large numbers of people to Fangcang hospitals for quarantine was a major part of the strict zero-COVID policy of the Chinese Communist government over the past 3 years. On December 7th, 2022, a breaking point was reached when the Communist Party suddenly lifted the restrictions without warning. Many Fangcang hospitals across the country began sending home people who had been locked up. However, COVID-19 is spreading in China at an alarming rate, infecting a massive number of people and causing numerous suspected deaths that can't be verified by official sources. What the public can sense is that crematoriums in major cities are overwhelmed. These videos show that funeral parlors or crematoriums across the country are full, with long lines of hearses waiting to burn the bodies.
等到一伤了，还有这么多车，这是咱们的车。一伤了还在后头，这有保的往后了的。
This is a long line of people collecting urns in Tianjin, China. We have more footage showing multiple hospitals filled with bodies, with the living walking among them. We hesitate to show them due to their sensitive nature. A Beijing resident describes his experience after the passing of his loved one.
我这是从昨天早上起来6点到现在了，1分钟觉都没睡呢。
I haven't slept a single minute since 6 a.m. yesterday. Last night, within 2 to 3 hours, 20 people came into the morgue. The most infuriating thing is that all the crematoriums in Beijing now have to wait at least a month for a scheduled cremation. I am now trying to find a way to jump the queue. To jump the queue, the least one has to pay now is 30,000 renminbi, that is 4,300 US dollars.
确实啊，就是 然后我说这个3万的。
The 30,000 I mentioned is to be able to cut in line in the next 3 or 5 days to be able to get in to burn to cremate. There is really no other way. I just called 4 crematoriums. Not one went through. All lines were busy. Just now, Chongping District Crematorium got through. They said they couldn't handle the volume in their own district, so don't send it to them. Try to look for solutions in the district where you live.
就直接就找那个3万就完了，那也没辙呀。
On December 19th, a senior member of Beijing's political and legal system told Radio Free Asia, on condition of anonymity, that before the White Paper movement in Beijing, and even during the 20th National Congress in October, in-hospital infections in major hospitals were already very bad. By early December, things had gotten completely out of control. It was only after the official announcement of the death of former Communist Party leader Jiang Zemin that information about the infection in Beijing was gradually released to the public. Before the loosening of epidemic prevention measures, widespread infections had occurred in Beijing's medical system. Many medical staff and elderly people were infected, and the death toll was high. Funeral parlors were overloaded, and the medical system had already collapsed. The senior official pointed out that his relative was infected during recuperation in the hospital, and then moved to many of the best hospitals in Beijing and eventually died of the new coronavirus. But the death conclusion written by the doctor was a urinary tract infection. His immediate family member was cremated 5 days after passing away in the hospital. He said, "I can say that it isn't bad to have 1 out of 100 people promoted to my position, and I'm already very modest to say that I belong to the 1%. But this time, one's ranking doesn't mean that one has the ability to save loved ones because each place is already beyond its capacity." Those elderly people who were delayed in the hospital, including those who died, some of them had very high ranks. As a member of the political and legal system, he says the government would blame the White Paper movement for the massive outbreak. As a first-hand witness, he is outraged. I'm already very modest to say that I belong to the one. Public transportation use has plummeted as many businesses have closed due to employee illnesses, and most schools have closed and switched to online delivery. The most packed place, besides crematoriums and funeral parlors, is the hospitals. This is a hospital in Beijing. In the video, a Beijing citizen took his mother to the hospital, only to be told that the hospital had no oxygen and lacked all kinds of equipment that could save her life.
转一个有条件看管的这儿，这儿看管好了，没有呼吸机了，没有设备了。你要都那么积极抢救，你就赶紧120没走，你转走，转院。
This is Shenzhen, where people line up in long lines for fever clinics. Shanghai imposed a harsh 2+ month city lockdown in the spring of 2022. The COVID-19 virus began spreading almost unchecked among the megalopolis's 25 million people after the Communist Party relaxed the control measures. Here in China's Anhui province, people crowded into a clinic just after it opened for a clinic bed. In Tibet, a sparsely populated region, there are also large numbers of people with fevers. In this video, we see a father kneeling down to a doctor in a hospital, crying that his child's fever is serious and he can't get a number in the queue. He begged the doctor for help. The doctor also knelt down, saying that there was nothing he could do about it.
哎呦，大家注意啊！你看这个病毒感染真厉害呀。
Oh, everyone, pay attention. You see that the infection in Bindao is really serious. People go to the clinic for injections and there is no place to sit. They come by car and hang the bottle next to their cars for an IV drip. What a spectacle. It is a big spectacle, sitting directly in the car, and then the doctor helps to give the injection. It has become like this nowadays. The most worrisome is that the COVID-19 epidemic situation in mainland China has entered a black hole in terms of information, news, and updates. On December 20th, 2022, the Chinese Health and Medical Commission reset the standard for death from COVID-19. Deaths caused by pneumonia and respiratory failure after contracting COVID-19 would be classified as COVID-19 deaths. Deaths caused by other underlying diseases, such as cardiovascular disease, resulting in death for infected people, will not get that classification. Some professionals responded that reclassification would miss so many cases that it would be pointless. However, even if the standard is not revised, the official death toll in China has been very low. China's National Health Commission announced 2 deaths on December 19th, the first reported deaths since December 3rd. The official death toll has been low since restrictions were lifted on December 7th. According to official statistics, China has had only 5,237 COVID-19 related deaths during the course of the COVID-19 outbreak, including the 2 most recently announced cases, a very small fraction of the country's 1.4 billion population. No one knows the real death figures. If we calculate based on the cremation capacity of the 12 funeral parlors in Beijing, at least 2,000 bodies are being cremated every day in Beijing alone, which is about 5 times or even higher than that of the same period in previous years. However, the Beijing Civil Affairs Bureau refused to disclose the total number of people who died and were cremated in Beijing since this winter, citing a lack of data. The Chinese Health Commission also downplayed concerns raised by the US and some epidemiologists about the possibility of virus mutation, saying the likelihood of a new, more pathogenic strain was low. The overall trend of mutations now is mainly about immune escape. Immune escape makes it more contagious for people again. Even if its contagiousness does not increase, its advantages for transmission will increase. It is relatively unlikely that the virus will increase both its contagiousness and lethality at the same time. Will a new strain of both greater transmission and lethality appear? This possibility is even smaller. In the official media, Chinese epidemic prevention experts also keep the same tone with the central government. Previously, an academician and respiratory expert, Zhong Nanshan, said at the National University Anti-Epidemic Lecture on December 15th that the percentage of infections within 1 year after one infection with Omicron was so small that it was equivalent to 1 vaccination. The CCP's 180-degree turn in policy, plus information black holes and confusing official statements, makes it hard to tell if they are true or not, and have left Chinese people in confusion and with different attitudes towards the epidemic tsunami. I am from Ezhou City, Shandong Province. I work in a cold storage place. Alas, after 3 years of torture, the virus is now said to be just a cold. Having had 3 injections, they turn out to be fake medicine. Having been locked down for over a year, I am told that this is a trap set up by foreign countries. Haha, restrictions are about to be lifted soon. I heard that the medicine, Lianhua Qingwen, is selling like crazy and the price has doubled. More importantly, when you buy it, you have to pair it with other medicines, like the ones for cough, sputum, fever, etc. It's just like coffee. When you buy it, you have to pair it with cream. In the last round, we followed suit to snatch and stock up on rice, oil, and noodles, and hoarded vegetables while waiting for the city to be locked down. Now what are we doing? We are hoarding medicines while waiting for the flu to come. Ha ha ha. I won't follow this time. I can't keep up with this wave of operations. There isn't much money left in my pocket. I am worried that there are some sort of forces manipulating behind the scenes. I have to save some money for the Chinese New Year, so I have something decent to eat. I can't just have medicine instead of food for the New Year. The reopening has been slightly burdensome. It's a bit of a burden to suddenly reopen when the supply of medications was not sufficiently prepared, but I support reopening. I am not worried. Anyways, the people around me, loads of them, are positive. But I am not positive yet. I've been taking ABC medicine vitamins. Death can't be avoided. If you get it, you get it. After you're infected, it depends on the individual's health to decide if you are well or not. We try as far as it's possible to not spread it to the elderly and children. That's all I can say. In fact, a new and more deadly variant of the Omicron strain has likely developed in China. A woman in Jiangsu province was surprised to find her hair turning gray when she had a high fever.
妈呀，这是我的头发吗? Gosh, what's going on here? Is this my hair?
On December 20th, Chinese social media, Weibo, showed that a woman in Anhui province had a high fever after being diagnosed with COVID-19. And by day 4, her face turned black and gooey, as if disfigured. The woman uploaded photos of herself before and after she was infected and posted that even her own mother wouldn't be able to recognize her now. A man in Tianjin was confirmed positive. Not only did he feel pain and chills all over his body, but he also found that his tongue and teeth had turned black. From the footage we have seen from China, this wave of the outbreak that hits like a tsunami has claimed not only the lives of the elderly, but also of children, young and middle-aged people. Because of the sensitive images, we have only picked the ones least likely to trigger YouTube's yellow label. The magnitude of the outbreak in China is perhaps more evident in the reaction of other countries and organizations outside China.
WHO is very concerned over the evolving situation in China, with increasing reports of severe disease.
The toll of the virus is of concern to the rest of the world, given the size of China's GDP, given the size of China's economy. It's not only good for China to be in a stronger position vis-a-vis COVID, but it's good for the rest of the world as well. The United States continues to be a leading force for countries around the world in the provision of vaccines and helping countries overcome the acute phase of the virus. We certainly hope that will be the case before long in the PRC as well.
Berlin has sent its first batch of BioNTech COVID-19 vaccines to China to be administered initially to German expatriates, a German government spokesperson said on December 21st. It's the first foreign coronavirus vaccine to be delivered to the country. According to official numbers, there are about 20,000 German nationals currently in China. A report earlier this month said that Germany's health ministry had granted a permit allowing China's Sinovac COVID-19 vaccine to be imported to Germany to be given to Chinese citizens in that country. Beijing has so far insisted on using only domestically produced vaccines, which aren't based on Western mRNA technology, but on more traditional technologies. In a recent episode, was not sufficiently prepared. University anti-epidemic lecture on December 15th that the percentage of infections within 1 year after one infection with Omicron was so small that it was equivalent to one vaccination. The CCP's 100. We are. Death can't be avoided. If you get it, you get it. After you're infected, it depends on the individual's health to decide if you are well or not. We try as far as it's possible to not spread it to the elderly and children. That's all I can say. In fact, a new and more deadly variant of the Omicron strain has likely developed in China. A woman in Jiangsu province was surprised to find her hair turning gray when she had a high fever. Young and middle-aged people, because of the sensitive images, we have only picked the first foreign coronavirus vaccine to be delivered to the country. According to official numbers, there are about the first batch of BioNTech COVID-19 vaccines to China to be administered initially to German expatriates, a German government spokesperson said on December 21st. It's the first foreign coronavirus vaccine to be delivered to the country. According to official numbers, there are about 20,000 German nationals currently in China. A report earlier this month said that Germany's health ministry had granted a permit allowing China's Sinovac COVID-19 vaccine to be imported to Germany to be given to Chinese citizens in that country. Beijing has so far insisted on using only domestically produced vaccines, which aren't based on Western mRNA technology, but on more traditional technologies. In a recent episode, we reported that the West wanted to help curtail a domestic and possibly global health and economic crisis in China in a way that the CCP government might be willing to accept. But as of now, the prideful CCP has said no, because accepting Western aid would not only embarrass the CCP, but also expose its propaganda, namely, the superiority of the CCP's model of governance.
Facts have shown that China's COVID-19 policy has provided maximum protection to people's lives and health, minimized the COVID-19's impact on socio-economic development, and bought precious time for understanding the virus on the basis of science, for research and development of vaccines and therapeutics, and for vaccinating more people across the country. We have achieved the most effective results at a minimum cost. We believe that with the concerted efforts of the Chinese people, we will usher in a new stage of steady and orderly economic and social development. We are ready to continue to work with the international community to meet the challenges of the epidemic, better protect people's lives and health, restore healthy world economic growth, and build a community of health for mankind.
Against such a backdrop, perhaps Chinese people will have to rely on themselves for epidemic prevention in the future. Everyone is the first person in charge of his or her own health, the Communist Party's official media has touted. Many Chinese people are now turning to food therapy for epidemic prevention. For example, canned yellow peaches, which had been excluded by many health-conscious consumers because of their high sugar content, have become a popular commodity after rumors on the internet in China said that they can alleviate the symptoms of the epidemic. On December 8th, a doctor said at a press conference on the prevention and control of the epidemic in Shanghai that those without symptoms or those with nasal congestion can drink water with fresh lemon slices. As a result, lemons soon became one of the hot commodities. Behind the hot sale of canned yellow peaches and lemons is that many people cannot get hold of any cold and fever medicine, while people around them are heavily infected with the outbreak. Here are the people in Guangdong province, unpacking boxes of medicine at the entrance of a pharmacy so as to snatch them. Here, people who can't buy medicine kneel at the door of a pharmacy, begging for medicine to save their family members. Chinese citizens in a position to do so have turned to personal networks around the world to seek medicines. The resulting panic for medicine has spread outside mainland China, with generic versions of Tylenol and Advil selling out in pharmacies in Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, and even Australia, prompting local pharmacies to impose restrictions on sales. I have family members who are currently in the mainland, but I feel the medical regulations there are very strict, and first, they are unable to go out and purchase medicine. My grandfather is now living in a nursing home, and he isn't even allowed to leave or let anybody in. Every delivery package must be sanitized before being brought in. I heard that there's no cold or fever medicine available on the market now, so we thought that we should quickly buy some here in Hong Kong and quickly send them back to the mainland. I was worried that when I first bought the medicine, I had heard that it may take up to a month to deliver them back home. At this point, the only thing we can do is send the medication as soon as possible. There's nothing else we can do.
We have a lot of buyers, including foreigners and Chinese customers, but the most obvious are Chinese. They would grab as much as they can. Suppose if we have 20 boxes in stock, they will come to ask how much we have in total. If we say we have 20, they will take all 20, but we have to limit the number of purchases.
This tsunami of outbreaks has led more Chinese to question the CCP's ability to govern. The question they ask now is, why are we always on the hook to self-rescue? We'll report on related topics in a later episode.
Okay, I'm gonna go make coffee, come back.
Multiple drones from North Korea crossed over to the south on Monday. This prompted the country's military to try and shoot them down and deployed fighters to intercept them. Kim Da-mi starts us off.
The South Korean military on Monday fired around 100 shots toward unauthorized drones from North Korea that crossed the inter-Korean border. One came down as far as the northern part of the capital Seoul, and 4 flew around Gangado Island for hours. The South's military, however, failed to shoot down the drones that are reportedly smaller than 2 meters. They all returned to the north. It was the first time in 5 years that North Korea had used drones to cross the border.
The South Korean military deployed manned and unmanned reconnaissance equipment to areas close to and north of the military demarcation line, took corresponding measures against the drones invading our airspace, and conducted operational activities such as photographing the enemy's key military facilities.
South Korea's Joint Chief of Staff detected multiple unidentified objects, presumed to be unmanned aerial vehicles in border areas of Gyeonggi-do province, starting at 10:25 a.m. The vehicles flew across the military demarcation line separating the two Koreas and intruded into areas of Gimpo, Gangado Island, and Paju. Some even came down within visual range of nearby towns. Among the South Korean jets scrambled to intercept them was a Ka-1 attack aircraft, which crashed after takeoff from an airbase in Wonju on South Korea's east coast. The pilots were reportedly okay. The North Korean intrusion also led to temporary suspensions of civilian flights, including at Incheon and Gimpo airports. Back in June 2017, drones from the north crossed the MDL and filmed the areas of Seongju County, where the U.S. missile defense system THAAD is located. Kim Da-mi, Arirang News.
Yes, NordVPN. Finally, Metal Gear Solid! Exclamation
Let me go make a coffee first. And, I'll be back in a bit.